everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. It's not a victory Friday because, why would the higher power let us actually have a pretty decent week win-loss-wise? Got to come in here on a Friday and slog through what was, I guess, one of the better losses of the year, as stupid as that is to say at this point in the season. That's where we are. But we got a lot of fun stuff planned for you today. We're going to have some fun. We always do on a Friday. Friday's pretty loose around here. Doesn't hurt. Paulie just reminded me our beloved friends from home state are bringing us breakfast tacos. I'm sorry to rub it all in your face, everyone, but I need it. We all need it. So you should get some. They're just the best. They're just the best, and they're just so kind to us, and they're trying to fatten us up, I think, is the deal. Maybe eat us at Thanksgiving. Just get us fat and plump, and then kill us and eat us at Thanksgiving. Woodsy, that's Paul Rindo. He's our EP, executive producer. Morning, Paulie.
Good morning. I'm struggling this morning.
Poor K.
Well, it doesn't really matter to most people. TweetDeck, my beloved
TweetDeck's gone.
Has finally kicked the bucket.
Dang, dude. So
it like went into effect. So
let me introduce Ben, and then you can give me the whole
Benjamin.
Gettysburg
No,
Address.
go TweetDeck first. I'm not that important.
You're way more important than TweetDeck.
I don't know, actually. Like, if I had to choose
For our show?
TweetDeck's pretty useful.
Gun to your head.
It's TweetDeck and Woods this morning.
Fine by me. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, is here as well. Benjamin, Paul, you wanted to give us the rundown on TweetDeck. And if you don't know what TweetDeck is, explain it for everyone.
So TweetDeck is a platform that has been used for, over 10 years, where you can arrange different columns and follow different users or your own channel and all that on Twitter. Schedule tweets, which is big for us.
It's an organizational
It is a
tool.
great planning tool for Twitter. And
it's gone.
It's gone.
Was it like set? You pay like $6 now?
You have to pay, it's like $84 a month for X Pro.
$84 a month?
Not a month, a year.
A year. Okay.
A year.
So the other night, just in full disclosure, Ben sent his, the anti-Viagra tweet. We win the big game. Fernando steals the whole thing. You send your anti-Viagra tweet, the bucket of cold water.
I prepared everyone for what happened last night. That's what I was doing. I was trying to soften the blow for what I saw coming in the next couple of days.
Oh, you softened it all right with that tweet. And I had my original quote tweet was going to be the balloon with the air coming out of it. And that's it. I wasn't going to say anything. So I did it. I tweeted it or X'd it. 40 minutes later, it's still sitting there waiting to download. I don't know what the hell's going on with this thing. I mean, I have an idea of what's going on with this thing.
I'm pretty confident I know what's going on.
And people will come after me. Listen, I don't care who runs it. I don't care who runs it. I just want it to be good and effective. I couldn't care less.
So I've always wondered why people, in particular with like that social media site and a couple of others, I certainly support everybody's activism and what they believe in, but there's no way to get along in life by just choosing the businesses that you like the owners of. Like, when my car is out of gas, I have to go to, like Shell. I doubt that everybody who runs the Shell oil company is just a pristine human being that I can feel good about supporting every single day. But
also,
I gotta live. I gotta get gas in my car. So I can't check into every business and every owner every single time I go shopping.
You also don't the CEO of Shell either and be like, he's a genius. Look at what he's done to gas prices. Like, that's the other part.
I use X, Twitter, because it's an important tool for what I do in work. And that's all I really care about. I'd like it to work effectively. That would be nice.
It's garbage. Again, I tweet out a simple GIF. I didn't even write anything. There was no copy. The GIF with a balloon with the air running it. GIF. Many say GIF. I mix it up.
I like GIF.
And it Paulie, 40 minutes. I'm like, well, this joke's going to land like a fart in church. 40 minutes later, like it's the dumbest. It's just, and again, I don't care who runs it. I don't care. I have no I could not care less what his politics are. If you have a site like this, just make sure it runs. That's all I'm asking. It is such a turd right now. A massive, massive steaming turd.
The best part of TweetDeck was I was able to access like Ben & Wood's account, the 97.3 account, all in the same place. Like is one click for reposting to the 97.3's feed. Now I gotta log out, log back in, log out to this one, log into this one. It's just
well, anyway. Sorry that it's gone, Paulie.
Speaking of home state tacos and the gig economy, as it were, if you did want to order Homestead, I believe they open at 8 a.m., and you wanted to order them via Uber Eats, there's a possibility my son might deliver your food because he had his first day yesterday as an Uber Eats driver. Just like signed up.
You didn't even know.
I didn't even know. He was like during the show yesterday, I found out he was delivering breakfast to people in North County. Great. I mean, just hopped right in. And I was talking to him about it yesterday, and I have to admit, there is some sort of appeal to that for me. I think like when I retire, I might be the kind of retiree who maybe just, oh, you know what? I don't mind. I'll spend 2.5, 3 hours today just driving around delivering things to people. And he said it's interesting. Like he's got this app and, he downloads it and they'll just pop up on a screen and says, are you ready to deliver this? Like pick it up at Starbucks. Okay. Yes. But you don't like find out where you're going until after you picked up the food.
Okay.
And then it lets you know where you're going. And then he would go and deliver it and it would tell him how much, like you're going to make approximately $10 on this delivery. Like you personally will make $10 total. And he does it. And then he said, and then you kind of, go maybe like drive near the Starbucks again or places like there are a lot of restaurants around. So you're ready to grab the next order. And I thought that's a fascinating business concept that they have created and how it works for both the people who are hungry and don't want to have to go out and we've all used DoorDash and Uber Eats and all sort of things, but seeing it from the other side of it, the delivery drivers, and I know they probably are a lot that listen to radio and our show, if they're out there working all day in their cars that have that do that to either earn some extra money or maybe it's their primary form of income by being an Uber Eats driver.
It's the one job I never had was delivery. It's the one job. Paulie, you did pizza, didn't you? Delivered pizzas?
No, I worked in-house.
You also delivered marijuana, the devil's lettuce. Delivered that door to door. I've never done delivery. It's the one. I've done telemarketing. I sold art out of my car.
You were never like even a pizza delivery guy.
Never once. Never delivered a damn thing. Not legally, like through a company, but I never delivered anything. Never had all right, what's that? Where's this going? All right, Mike, I'll be back. I never ran out Chinese food anywhere. Like I just like the one job I never wanted to do. I've washed dishes. I've bartended. I've bar backed. I've waited tables. I've sold art. I've telemarketed. I've done all the jobs on the board except delivery. Here would be my only issue with working for that option. Me sitting at home at 18, 19, 20, 21. Phone buzzes. You want to do this? No, I'm not.
$8.
Yeah, I'm not doing this. Forget it. It would be, for me, that's me. I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't feel like working today. I needed the structure of, all right, your shift starts at 8, you work till noon or whatever it was. I needed the structure.
It was almost a little bit like a game because he said, like, I picked up one delivery and I was going to make like $10, but then like 20 seconds later, they said, hey, if you can add on this one, and it was right next door, it's 20 more bucks. And go, yeah, that was so easy. I was just like, it's just like winning the little Uber Eats lottery. It's like, so all I have to do is walk next door, pick up this other order, and drop that off too in the same neighborhood, and I just made another $20. It's a fascinating business concept they created.
That's great, man. That's great. Good for him. JWW says, my wife and I did Uber Eats a few years ago. So my son could get a $200 bonus each. It was actually pretty fun. Learned so much about the surrounding area, new places to eat, and cool people. Yeah. Also, you need to let Jack know. Maybe one day he delivers some lonely woman's breakfast and she answers the door in a bathrobe. You need to warn her that these things, I've seen these things happen many times. I've seen it happen many, many times.
I think that website's fake. Like those are actors.
I don't know. They're pretty convincing. Pretty convincing. Jack goes to deliver her Starbucks, and well, aren't you a strapping young man? Come in the house. Let me get my purse. Ma'am, it's actually online. You don't need
Does anyone not do contactless delivery anymore now? Just leave it on the doorstep.
There's a reason.
Hello? Take a picture of it and walk away.
Stuck in the laundry machine.
How did you get your hand stuck in the couch? Hang on. Let me come over here and help you for a second. Jack, if you're listening, just know that's a possibility. Okay? Know it's a possibility, and that could very well happen at any moment. Okay?
Chris says you see it on those scrambled channels.
Yes, yeah, the
documentaries.
Documentaries on delivery and the perils of being a delivery boy. That's
30 for 30.
30 for 30, yes. The perils of being a delivery boy.
Man, I'm just trying to do my job.
I thought I was bringing you breakfast, but yes, I'm happy to stay, and let me just hit decline on the other 9 of these that just popped up, and let's sit down and get to know each other a little bit better. So yeah, just so you know, it could definitely happen. Well, that good for him. Good for him. We will talk about the Padres game last night. I saw mostly measured responses. I think most people got it. What really irked me the most was the 9th inning and the people going, "Oh my God, how do you take those pitches?" Those were the comments that made me want to do the table flip. And I'm like, you saw the game. Like, you saw how nasty that kid was. Like,
103 on
with an 88 mile an hour splitter to follow. I'm going, you saw that, right? Like, those guys aren't up there looking to walk necessarily. Like, Manny Machado, it was maybe the worst at bat I've ever seen him take.
I saw some pretty bad comments yesterday directed toward me. We're going to have
AJ. You?
Well, I mean, tweeted at me, not toward me, but tweeted to me about the team. Like, we're going to have AJ Preller on the show this morning at 8:00 on a Friday. And there were people who wondering, like, ask AJ, why don't they just swing 20% less so the ball doesn't fly all the way to the outfielder when they hit the line drive?
And honestly, I think those people should be blocked. You're never going to, if somebody asks that question, you're never going to get through.
You can't swing 20% easier so the ball doesn't line drive all the way to the outfielder and falls in between the infielder and the outfielder.
Then that's not how hitting works. My morning. You have I didn't see it. I didn't know it existed. And now you make me want to get off Twitter again. I hate having that attitude of like, oh, I'm so much smarter than you. But, buddy, you got to think that one through before you hit send. Somebody called the 103. I saw somebody say the 103 was BP meatball. It's a BP 103. And I'm like, buddy, there is no such thing in the effing world as a BP 103. Then I sound like the arrogant jerk. Yeah, but that splitter was hanging. I'm like, oh my God, it was right after 103 mile an hour fastball.
We'll talk about it, but I definitely woke up this morning going, it's going to be hard not to sound like an apologist for the team this morning.
Of course
they didn't play poorly last night.
Bro, they played their asses off last night. They did everything right. Everything except for score 2 more runs.
Yeah. If Zach Gallen was, Mike Smith, who we'd never heard of, and he's 2-8 with a 6 ERA, and he only got 3 hits against him. Yeah, that sucks.
Zach Gallen hasn't had a game, maybe in his career, where his neck has snapped back so often on hard hit balls.
I mean,
they just kept going straight at people. And there's nothing you can do about that.
I thought about it driving in. I'm like, last night sucked only in the sense of, how do you talk about that game?
Like, pretty easy. I thought it was pretty easy.
Right.
Hey, you guys did everything right. Literally everything. You played. All right, we'll get into this. We'll get into it.
You did it. We're good. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday. We just wrapped that one up.
Yeah. Paulie,
we'll talk to you Monday morning at 6 a.m. Coach and Braden are coming up next.
Bring me my paper bag, please. That tweet that somebody sent Ben makes me want to hyperventilate. Okay, let me just play that through again. You're having the president of baseball operations and the general manager on your radio show today. Ask him why the players, the San Diego Padres, don't, quote, just swing 20% less.
So the ball doesn't fly all the way to the outfield. It goes between the infielders and the outfielders.
You see this?
When they hit
You see it?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah. You're twitching.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What does
I don't know how
develop a
much longer.
tick?
I don't know how much longer I can do this. I'm going to be honest with you. I know I just signed a new deal, but I just don't know how much longer I can do this.
We will.
I'm fuming. Whoever you are, I hope you don't follow me. I hope I never see that. That's the worst thing I've ever heard on. That's the worst thing I've ever seen on that app.
We will wrap up a week of Daily Diddy themes, bands that you thought you weren't going to like, and it turned out you do like them. We'll get to that coming up next, and an interesting rumor that the Padres may be pursuing. We could ask AJ about it later as well.
That's the one I want to ask.
That's
Mr.
an
Preller
interesting
about.
one. We'll tell you what it was that came out last night. That is next with Ben and Woods. Glad to have you with us on a Friday morning. Let's check traffic with Kelly Danick right now on 97.3 The Fan.
Why would I make fun of you for this? You said I would make fun of you.
I didn't think you'd be a big fan of solo Sting.
Well, I mean, it's the singer from the Police.
Okay,
doing a
so
solo
the
record,
reason
you knew you would like it.
The reason, no. So the reason I picked this is, and I don't know if anyone else is like this or it's just me, but I hate it when a band I love, like the singer leaves and then goes solo, and it's never as good.
Is now a bad time to tell you about my new podcast that I'm doing.
Exactly. I never like it when the band breaks up and then the singer goes solo, and it's like, it's always disappointing to me. And when the Police, one of my favorite bands, like broke up and Sting went off on his solo career, I was ready to hate Sting by himself. This is not the same. I'm just the kind of guy, I like what I like, and I don't like it to change.
Yeah, that's true.
You know me, I don't like listening to live versions of songs because I like it exactly like it's supposed to sound on the radio. And when the solo artist goes off and does something a little different, like, hey, I want to explore my, some different interests of music, it's like, no. And I understand that's very unfair of me that they should be allowed to, explore the creative space as artists, but I don't want you to do that. I want you to do what you're good at. I want you to keep pushing out the songs that I like.
He's good at singing and songwriting.
I know.
So
I know.
He's doing the same thing.
But in the beginning, I was very mad, and I didn't like Sting as a solo artist. And I eventually came to realize, no, I like him no matter what.
The only problem, I have one problem with that song. It's Fields of Joy.
Fields of Gold.
Gold, sorry. The only problem I have with that song is that it uses the word barley in it. That's the only thing that bothers me. I don't like that word. I've never liked that word. And it's a weird word to put in. Like, it's not a rock and roll song, but it's a weird word.
We live in the craft beer capital of America. I understand. Barley is a big thing here.
The word, though, the barley itself is fine. It's the word barley. I like broth. I just don't like saying the word broth. I also have weird things in my head, too. When I heard him, the first time I heard that song, I thought it was Along the Fields and Valleys. Oh. But I thought he's English. He says it weird. And then I read the lyrics. I'm like, barley? Why would you put barley in a song?
Probably because it rhymes with something correctly.
Yeah. But Sting is fantastic. The most disappointed I've ever been, I've told you, was when I spent, I don't know, $500 on a Police reunion show. And it was like the worst concert I've ever been to. And I wanted to die. Sad. Well, the interesting thing, I went to see that show and I walked out of the American Airlines Center in Dallas, and a massive storm had hit the Dallas-Fort Worth area. My car was under 2 feet of water. This is many, 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 many years ago. And by the time I walked to my car, I was 100% covered, soaked. My wallet was wet. Like, everything in my body was wet. And I was reading the news and watching the news and reading all the stuff about Hurricane Hillary that will be apparently ripping through here at some point.
Down on us.
Yeah, barleying down on us.
Look for it on Sunday, they said. Late Saturday, Sunday, into Monday.
So just everyone, know it's coming, I guess. And we'll probably talk about that some more this morning.
This segment of Ben and Woods is brought to you by the Golf Mart. So Dennis Lynn of The Athletic had an interesting little tidbit in his latest piece. Padres, of course, have risen up by the middle of the season. They're top 10 now in minor league system rankings and have 4 or even 5 players ranked in the top 100 in the minor leagues. If you include, I think Samuel Zavala checked in at right around 100 on at least one of the lists. But Dennis Lynn said that the Padres are considering a late season call-up of Jackson Merrill, who is one of their top prospects, top 10 prospect in all of baseball, and has been really hitting the ball well in Double-A San Antonio right now. And you can't make any trades at this point. The trades they did make at the deadline have been pretty disappointing. I know Garrett Cooper's starting to swing the bat a little bit better the last couple of days, and Rich Hill didn't pitch terribly yesterday. He actually pitched pretty well, let's be honest, but didn't work out.
Yep.
So what can you do? Not much other than, maybe look in your own system. Now, is this a desperation move? Is this a smart decision to start his service time clock right now when, the odds are that, coming back this season, probably Jackson Merrill can't save things at this point with
how does it start his service time officially? Because
when you bring him up.
I know you bring him up, but like, let's say you bring him up for the last 2 weeks of the year or whatever. Then let's say he breaks camp. He has a really good spring training and breaks camp. Next year would be his rookie year.
It would still be his rookie year, but he'd more than likely get closer to being one of those super twos where in his instead of his fourth season to hit arbitration, you'd hit it in your third season instead.
Just by getting called up.
By getting called up early, because you'd have that that extra time on everyone. Now, that's not a reason to not call someone up. If you think they're ready and you think they can help, then you do that. That's what the minor league system is for.
Postseason, you do whatever it takes, and you worry about his year 4 in 4 years.
Was this ever part of the plan, or did Jackson Merrill's performance change the plan? Or
if it's Jackson Merrill's performance that changes the plan, great. That's what you should be doing as an organization. If it's your own failures at the major league level that is causing you to change the plan for your minor leaguers, that worries me a little bit. When you rush someone to the big leagues because you're desperate,
then I'm sure a Jackson Merrill call-up was not in the plans. You know what else wasn't in the plans? Not winning more than 3 games in a row all year.
No doubt. But
things change.
I guess. Huh. I don't know.
I don't hate it. Why not?
I don't love it.
I don't hate
Where's
it.
he going to play?
Outfield.
At the big league level. He's played like a handful of games in the outfield in spring. In
who's sitting down? Grisham? If he starts in the outfield,
and where's he playing?
Tatis
right?
Moves to center and Merrill plays in right.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't know. Or is he DHing?
But if he's if he's just going to come up here and Matt Carpenter the whole thing, keep him down there where you can get ABs and develop. This is the problem.
He would be a bench piece that you could actually potentially use.
I mean,
it's not a great way to introduce someone to the major league. Oh, I know they do September call-ups. At least they used to. They don't do it as much anymore, but guys who at least get a taste of the big league.
What would even be better if
I mean, the minor league seasons end in September.
That's true.
So he wouldn't be getting any action in the final month anyway.
But they're not talking about calling him up at the end of the year. They're talking about calling him up soon. Well,
I mean, it's August.
It's almost September.
It's almost their season's over in a couple of weeks.
When's the call up?
September 1st is the roster expansion. You get 2 more roster spots now.
That would be 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
So if you called him up this weekend or next week and he sits the bench, then there's 2 week or a week and a half of ABs he's not going to get, which is probably.
I mean, are they talking about calling him up like tonight or in 2 weeks?
Dennis Lynn said they're considering it. I don't know. I just don't know. I really don't. I would love to see him come up here and rake, but I don't want to see him come up here and sit.
Dennis writes the possibility of calling Merrill up to the majors in September.
September call up.
Okay.
Well,
that's fine. I guess that's fine then. Like, come up, get a little taste, get your cup of coffee.
See what he can do in a pinch hit role.
I don't care, and I think the organization doesn't care about the service time manipulation, even though I think sometimes, it's fiscally a smart thing to do. But if a kid is ready and he's earned it, then you want to come up and ride the pine, get a couple ABs, be around the guys, to now next year work your ass off in break camp. Okay, no problem. Teams call up guys all the time. This is not.
I don't think he's getting called up to
start and left.
Be your leadoff hitter every night.
All right. Well, I'm willing to think that could still be a good thing for the kid then.
Yeah.
If that's the case, but first time we've even heard it speculated that the Padres might bring up one of their top prospects.
I think you could even look at it as that's like a motivator.
Of course,
you know what I mean. You're like, give this kid a taste. You're like, I've worked, I've grinded, I had a good minor league season, and I've been rewarded by getting a glimpse of what my future holds.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
especially he's not taking up anybody else's spot, right?
I mean, we already have a bunch of dead spots on the bench anyway, so. What's one more?
Right, but you get those roster spots in September
for that.
So you're like,
all right. If it's September, it's fine. If it's like next week, I'm like, oh god, all right. That feels a little panicky to me, but what do I know? Nothing.
All right, keep listening to all the shows here on 97.3 The Fan for your chance to win a Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead. Keep summer going. Padres on this 10-game homestand now through August 23rd. Tickets are available at Padres.com. We'll be giving out another bobblehead in our 8 a.m. hour this morning. So keep listening for your chance to win. We've also got some Padres tickets to give away to tomorrow night's game at Petco Park as well. So stay tuned for that. When we come back, our Padres wrap up. Again, not the luckiest of games for your San Diego Padres. I think an interesting question, though, is did Rich Hill earn himself another start the next time through the rotation with how he performed in yesterday's game? I had a lot of disagreement on my timeline last night during that game about it and what Pedro Avila did again last night. So
what if he had just thrown 20% softer and then the guys wouldn't have hit it?
Possibly. We'll talk about that coming up next in our Padres wrap up with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Keep looking at these storm tracks, and it's heading this direction. It's not a certainty yet, but San Diego has not had a hurricane hit our county since I think it's the 1850s.
Oh, God, I remember that.
Yeah. And there hasn't been even a tropical storm, which is basically just below hurricane level winds, but a really bad hurricane-like storm.
Hacksaw stayed on the air the whole time. Yeah.
It's been 84 years since the last tropical storm actually reached San Diego. But right now, the latest National Weather Service predictions, the models, say that it should arrive sometime Sunday as at least a tropical storm, if not a Category 1 hurricane. Hillary is on her way to San Diego up the Baja coast and is coming here. I don't even really know what you do to prepare for a hurricane.
Can I tell you?
I mean, do we have to board up windows or?
I told my wife this morning. So I'm not going to be in town. I'm leaving on a very spontaneous day trip to Los Angeles tomorrow to go see a dear friend of mine that's just having a rough time and needs me. And so I was going over the schedule with Hannah yesterday, and she goes, "Why don't you just go Saturday? All my stuff got canceled." I go, "All right." So I call him. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I would love it." So going up. So then I start seeing all this stuff, and I'm like, I asked her this morning. I go, Are you guys gonna be okay if I'm not here? And she's not one to get super worried. Now, here's what's inevitable. Where are you? When are you coming home? I'm like, you told me to go. You said
the house is flooded.
The kids are underwater. I know it's coming. So now I'm not going to be able to have a good time. The anxiety. So I did tell her, I said, well, when I get home today, I'm going to go through the whole yard. I'm going to pick up in the backyard all the balls and all the things that could, whip around. And she's like, yeah, I guess let's just prepare the best we can.
The rain level predictions, kind of on the coast and San Diego area proper, about 3 inches. They're thinking in the desert areas in the east part of San Diego County.
Best tweet ever.
They're saying 5 inches or more of rain. And what does that equate to?
They said in some parts of the desert they will be getting 2 to 3 years worth of rain in 3 hours. So it's, oh my God, what a deluge.
We are actually, we've made some plans later this morning. My colleague from ABC 10 News, Vanessa Paz, our meteorologist in the morning, going to check in with an update on what it means, what we need to do, don't do, be careful about, since this is such an unusual weather event heading our way, and how it's possibly going to impact the Padres homestand.
Yeah, it would have to.
Really looking like Sunday's game is going to be rained out, based on all the forecasts and models right now, which is kind of interesting because it's the last game of the season between the Padres and the Diamondbacks. There's no simple makeup date. They only share 2 off days the rest of the season, the last 2 Thursdays, and neither of them. The Padres are at home in between 2 home series in one of them, but the Diamondbacks are supposed to be headed to New York to face the Yankees.
Couldn't get any further away
from Arizona. So they would have to play their last game of their series in Arizona.
Come here for one.
Hop on a plane to San Diego, play 1 game, and then go back to New York.
Back to New York. I guess it's doable.
45-minute flight.
Right.
Yeah.
They also have the last Thursday of the season, but they're both in Chicago that week to face the White Sox. The Diamondbacks on Wednesday, the Padres on Friday. Now, they could both fly back to San Diego to play, and then the Padres go back to Chicago. Or, if this was simply about logistics, I'd say just play the game in Chicago when you're both there. Use the White Sox field. They don't have a game that day on Thursday.
The Padres, Diamondbacks at New Comiskey Park, whatever the hell they call that dump. And people in Chicago be like, what? Have they done that before? Has that ever happened? I'm sure it has.
There has happened, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, of course.
But I can see from a Padres perspective, you get 81 home dates. You already gave 2 of them up to play in Mexico City. You're selling out almost every game. That's 40,000 plus fans who spend a lot of money on tickets and concessions. They must take in, at least revenue-wise, it's got to be $4 to $5 million per home game, and you don't want to give up one of those if you don't have to. That's not money you're going to make up later if you can't make up that game. So I presume the Padres will want the game played in San Diego if at all possible. The other thing that's been discussed, at least, is they could do a doubleheader tomorrow and just preemptive, cancellation of Sunday's game, but that also comes with its own logistical concerns. Like, tell all your employees, oh, by the way, we've added another game tomorrow at noon in a day-night doubleheader. It's not that easy to change everyone's schedule around and, TV schedules and everything. So there's no perfect answer if Sunday's game gets rained out.
That's also something that they don't probably do very often, right? The preemptive doubleheader.
No, I don't think so. We always usually wait to see. The weather.
If I'm a player, I'm like, you go in and you figure out any way to get that done. So we'll rip 2 tomorrow. Yeah. It's gonna be a long day, but you get Sunday off. I mean, you do that in your sleep if you're a player.
You don't even have to show up and wait around for the game to be banged on rain.
We know we're not playing on Sunday. So
it's always that thing where you think and especially with weather, you're like, and then it totally missed us, and the sun's shining a little bit.
And it could. I mean, if the storm track turns to the east, there's a chance that we don't get a ton of rain, and you do play that game. They're not with hurricanes, you're never quite sure until you really get it tracked in the last 48 hours or so. So we're getting close to that, but they say it could still go a different direction at this point. That's why we've invited Vanessa to come on and share what she knows the latest a little bit later this morning. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Farmer's Dog, fresh human-grade dog food delivered right to your door. It's time to quit the kibble and kick the cans. The Farmer's Dog makes dog food that's actually food. It's made from real meat and veggies and delivered right to your door. Get 50% off your first box of smarter, healthier pet food at thefarmersdog.com/dog days.
They're fantastic. We just switched to them a couple months ago.
Why? Farmer's Dog. Simply the greatest.
I've had what seems like dog-grade human food sometimes.
Yeah,
but
I've had that too.
This is human-grade dog food. It's the other way around.
Place that Paulie and I ate in Arizona.
That gray meat.
You ever had gray
authentic suburban Phoenix barbecue?
You ever had gray brisket?
Because you really expected that suburban Phoenix barbecue to be among the
best.
Desert.
Like, you don't have smokers out here. You can't smoke a piece of meat. Like, that's the perfect place for a barbecue. It should be, right?
I would what makes it that much different
right.
from Texas?
It's not like it's sushi where you're like, well, they're nowhere near an ocean.
Right.
So the fish is there. You're in Arizona. You should have
near all those cattle ranches.
I'm sure there's cattle in Arizona.
Why is Arizona so much different than Kansas City?
Right. The desert. So what do they do well in Arizona?
Nothing.
Zach Gallen pitched pretty well against us.
Well, we'll find out. We got our Padres wrap up. We'll get to the highlights of last night's 3-1 loss to the Diamondbacks right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Tanner.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. Got a 2-car collision on westbound King Freeway just before the 15. Fortunately, does not appear to be blocking any lanes. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for discounts and locations nearest you. Valvoline Oil Change centers are open 7 days a week. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
You can visit Pity City, but you can't live there.
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Hey guys, it's Woodsy live from the Crapper again.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
God, here we go.
It's the Padres wrap-up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
Bam swings at the first pitch, hits it in the air to very deep left center field. This one a no-doubter out to the second bullpen. The Diamondback bullpen, the one further away from the fence. A 2-run homer for Tommy Pham. And Arizona leads 2-0. Right-hand hitting catcher swings at the first pitch, sends one in the air deep down the right field line. At the porch, this one gonna go. We were just talking about it. Only place in the yard that's a home run. Dropped it into the first row of the Petco porch down the right field line. An opposite field home run for Moreno, only his 4th of the year. And now 3-0 Arizona. So 1-1 pitch. Trent swings, lines it to right field. Charging in Carroll, has to play it on a hop. Cronenworth rounding third on his way. He'll score. And the Padres are on the board. An RBI single for Trent Grisham. 3-1 Arizona in the fifth. The pitch. Cronenworth takes on the outside corner. Strike 3 call. Justin Martinez comes up from AAA Reno. Collects his first major league save. It did not come easily, but he gets the job done. And the Diamondbacks have now won 3 straight games as they beat the Padres 3-1 in game 1 of this 4-game series.
I thought our approach was as good as we've had off him. So I had, 7 lineouts on my card, couple balls to the track, some hard hit balls on the ground too. So it's not for lack of approach. Pretty frustrating. I mean, I never say unlucky, but we were a little unlucky tonight with as many hard hit balls we had.
Yeah, minus the a little.
Yeah,
unlucky.
they were. So a hard hit ball, at least StatCast defines it as an exit velocity of at least 95 miles per hour. And the Padres hit almost 500 when they hit a ball 95 miles an hour. So that's what you can expect. I mean, you're going to hit some lineouts for sure, but you should get a hit 1 out of every 2 times. Padres hit 15 balls of at least 95 miles per hour. They got 3 hits on.
So that should be 7.5 hits, roughly.
And, in that game yesterday, maybe 5 or 6 runs, the way they were swinging it. They came really close to home runs. Fernando Tatis Jr. missed one by a foot or 2. Manning had one deep into the gap in right field. Xander doesn't even count the ones that were foul, but they had 2 balls, one by Xander that missed by about a foot, the foul pole in right field, one by Camposano that went about an inch left of the third base bag that would have been an RBI double as well. It arguably was the unluckiest game of the season for the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to find one where they hit the ball better than they did with no outcome, no results.
But it comes at almost the absolute worst time because, as I said yesterday, this is a must-win series to the Padres, which now makes essentially the next 3 games in a row must win, must win, must win. I mean, you absolutely have to take 2 out of 3. If you lose 2 of the next 3 and you fall further behind Arizona in this series, I don't know that there's any coming back from that. So I looked at it, and if you want to set, if you're like me and you like to set shorter term targets, I know people say Padres need to win 28 of their remaining 40 games.
Hard way to live.
It's hard. It's a hard way to look at it. But if you'd like to say, if the Padres need to win 7 out of 10, 7 out of their next 10, and they need to do that 3 more times after that, that would get them to 28 wins and 86 for the season. And the way the other wild card contenders have been playing, I think that does get them in. That's a 700 winning percentage the rest of the way. The Padres have not done anything close to that this season. But in my mind, this is how I'm going to approach the rest of the season. 10-game chunks. There's 4 10-game chunks left starting tonight. Padres have to win 7 out of 10 in each of them. Obviously, if you win 8 out of 10, you can do a 6er, but you have to win 7 out of 10 in every 10-game chunk the rest of the year. So
they have to play 700 baseball.
700 baseball. 7 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 7 out of 10. If they do that, I feel 70 to 80% confident they'll make the playoffs.
Let's talk about feelings for a moment, because the entire game last night, I've got texts to prove it. We were winning that game. I knew we were going to win that game. I knew it. I was texting our buddy Max in Hollywood, and he goes, I go, bro, we're winning this game. The guys look so locked. Defense looks spectacular. Hassan Kim making brilliant plays. Crony making really, really nice plays. We're winning this game, period. Rich Hill did exactly what we needed him to do. Avila's doing exactly what we needed him to do. We're stealing this game tonight, and it's going to be exactly what we need. I'm looking at the OPS for the guys last night, the expected batting averages. God, I mean, we're talking 750, 800, 813, 901. They had such a good game at the plate. Such a good game at the plate. The results weren't there, and I know moral victories suck. It's hard, though, and I tweeted it last night. They've had so many crap losses and so many futile nights at the plate where they're rolling over. They look like they don't care. It's hard for them to have any goodwill or trust that they're going to keep doing this.
Yeah, I really, like I said, I was afraid I'm going to wake up and sound like an apologist. They haven't played like that enough this season.
They have not played anywhere near enough like that.
And if they do play like that every day the rest of the year,
well, no problem.
They'll win 7 out of 10.
They'll win 8 out of 10.
They'll win. If they play like that, they'll win plenty of games.
I had friends texting
the rest
me,
of the way.
I had friends text me saying, you know what, Woodsy? Crap loss for sure. They look like a team tonight. I go, you know what? You're right. They do. And people are going to be mad. There's no moral victories. It's still a loss, but I don't know.
All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Rich Hill versus Pedro Avila, and take on Woods. Coming up on a Friday next year on 97.3 The Fan. Hour number 2, Ben and Woods on a Friday morning, a Friar Friday. We're an hour away from the president of baseball operations and general manager, San Diego Padres, AJ Preller, joining us. Got to imagine.
Lots to discuss.
Got to imagine you have to tear your hair out a little bit after a game like last night.
I mean, bro, we do morning radio and like tell jokes and have fun and get to chew the fat and hear weird comments from listeners. And like, he's the architect of that thing. It would make me insane. I could never do it. I could make it maybe till the All-Star break of 1 year. And if it was this year's All-Star break, right? Put yourself in AJ Preller's shoes. Hey, Woodsy, you got the gig. You get to the All-Star break, you spend all this money, you do all these moves, and you're sitting where you are at the All-Star break. I don't think I would have made it in the second half. It's a different type of mindset that you have to do that gig. And the bummer is, and I'm excited to talk to AJ because listen, he's a big guest, certainly. With the team playing so poorly, every interview we've done with AJ Preller outside of spring training this year sounded like a cross-examination. And I don't. It's not that doesn't do anything for me. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. But I do have questions for him. I do have questions. I want some clarity on a couple of things that are going on right now. I want to have him explain exactly. Why Matt Carpenter's has one AB in a month. Things like that. Are you really considering bringing up Jackson Merrill? Things of that nature. What does the offseason look like? Are we bringing Blake Snell back? Have you started talking to Juan Soto? What about Ha-Seong Kim? I mean, there's a lot on the plate.
I would be curious, is next year's problems really next year's problems? Or do you have to at least think about it during the current season?
It's a good question.
Because every time I'm talking Padres with my friends, I go, who the hell is pitching next year?
100%.
Who the hell is pitching for us next year?
100%.
They have to be thinking about it.
Yeah, you have to.
We'll call AJ Preller to the stand at 8:00 this morning.
You can't handle the truth.
One question I'm curious about is the Rich Hill versus Pedro Avila.
Sure.
Which is, that's a bit of a fake construction. It doesn't have to be Rich Hill versus Pedro Avila, but the way the Padres have used them the last few starts, you've seen Rich Hill start, give up 3-6 and 3 runs, 6-3 and 3 runs in his last 3 starts, and then Pedro Avila come in and give up 0-1 and 0 runs, following him up with several really good innings. And it's led a lot of fans to say, well, why isn't Pedro Avila the one getting the starts? He's been very effective on the big league level.
How did he look good?
And he looked really good again last night. Now, I can't say that Rich Hill didn't. I thought Rich Hill pitched much better last night, hitting more spots, getting a lot more swings and misses. He was really outstanding. He retired the first 10 batters he faced and then walked Corbin Carroll and then gave up his one really bad pitch. The first pitch to Tommy Pham, which was belted for the 2-run home run. And then he pitched through 5 innings, gave up only one more base runner. It came on and when I say the cheapest home run that you're going to see, it literally was, since they started tracking home runs with StatCast in 2015, the shortest home run Petco Park has ever seen by Gabriel Moreno. It's expected batting average. It's supposed to be an out 94% of the time when you hit a fly ball at that speed. Unfortunately, it went to just the right spot and turned into a home run. Those are the only 3 base runners he allowed in 5 innings. Rich Hill was actually pretty darn good in that start yesterday for the Padres.
Not to go full Ben Higgins on you, but if we had said, do you sign up for that from Rich Hill? You say, yeah, you do. You sign up for 5 innings, 3 runs, 2 hits, 3 hits.
Of course.
Yeah. All day. Every time.
Every time.
Give me that the rest of the year, Rich.
But I also think you can say, and the point was made, and even I made it yesterday, if Pedro Avila had started, and he's only stretched out for about 4 innings, 5 innings, probably would have still brought in Rich Hill after him. Right now, those two are kind of linked, and you need to get some innings out of both of them. You can't just sit everybody.
Hey, man, if it goes like that,
but
bring it for the next 40 games.
But I would make the argument, and I tweeted this last night. Is it time to give Pedro Avila the chance to at least see how far he can go? And if he's going to keep going and giving 0-1 run, maybe he can get to the 5th or 6th and shorten the distance to maybe a hater, late in the game where, if you go Rich Hill for 5 innings, and even if he does give up 2 or 3, then you go to Avila, but you're behind. The Padres have not done well from behind, catching up. And so far, every time Rich Hill has pitched, the Padres have had to play catch up, and they have failed to do so in all of those games. Is it, without saying that, Rich Hill, he doesn't deserve a spot on this team? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe Pedro Avila does deserve a chance to start.
And how do you decide that and when? is something.
I mean, the next time they'll need them is Tuesday,
right?
Against the Miami Marlins. That's when that turn in the rotation comes up again. My expectation is that they will once again start Rich Hill.
That's
if
they
started him yesterday and felt like he pitched really well, then they're probably going to start him again on Tuesday.
Look, you get those kind of results from your pitching again, I'm fine. I like that piggyback. I like it a lot.
Yeah, overall, no one would have complained about 3 total runs in 9 innings.
3 hits.
You just said, yeah, all the offense needs to do is find a way to score 4. And offense did a lot of good things. They didn't score 4. They only scored 1 last night. So we'll see what happens with the Rich Hill, Pedro Avila tandem when that turn comes up. It'll be the bobblehead night, Ha-Seong Kim bobblehead night on Tuesday. So a big crowd for their next start and another absolutely critical game the way things are shaping up. Looking for a contestant for Take on Woods? Play our game here in a minute or two. 833-288-0973 if you want to join us. 833-288-0973. It is Friday. That means a Crossing Streams Friday as well. Craig Elston going to join us coming up here at the bottom of the hour.
Curious to see Craig's state of mind after last night.
I think you think he'll be similar to us.
He's been spicy, but in general, he's a pretty measured individual.
Yeah.
I imagine he's going to probably feel similar to how we feel. Like, that's just a tough loss, but you played well. Like, there's not a whole lot to complain about.
Just the result. That's it. Just the result, man.
Mark says, I didn't know you smoked weed. You believe the Padres are capable of playing 700 baseball? I didn't say that I thought they would do it. I said that's what they need to do. What they need to do. They need to win 7 out of 10 the rest of the season. For 40 games, every 10, 7 out of 10, 4 times. That's what they need to do, I think, to get to the playoffs. I think it's highly unlikely they do that at this point.
I do too.
You don't take a team that plays, I think, 475 baseball for 5 months and then
turn them into
all of a sudden they play 700. Has it been done in baseball before? Have we seen it? Yeah, of course we've seen it. And do the Padres have the talent to do it? Yep. Absolutely. They have the talent to do it. Do I expect them to do it? No, I do not.
Yeah, betting man today, as we sit today, what kind of odds would you place a wager?
Fangraphs has them right around 22%, 23%. I think that's more high.
Like 15,
10 to 15. Yeah, I mean,
the Padres were at 25% yesterday.
Yeah.
Fangraphs has them at 19.3.
20%. No. So a little under 20, 1 in 5 essentially to make the playoffs. Woods, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 5. You get it right, Padres make the playoffs. You get it wrong, they don't make the playoffs. Here it is. Go for it.
2.
Wow, they made it. That's incredible.
Incredible.
All right. It does happen. It does happen. All right, let's get to our game. It's time to play a little Take on Woods. All right, Joe is on the line, and Joe is playing for a chance to qualify for our August getaway to Las Vegas. 2 nights at the Westgate, Las Vegas Resort and Casino. 2 tickets to Cool and the Gang, backed by popular demand after multiple sold-out shows. You can catch them at the International Theater. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. The Westgate, Las Vegas Resort and Casino, featuring $70 million in room renovations, home of legendary Vegas fun. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, guys.
You've played this game before, so we'll get to it. Your category selections today are... Call them up here. All right. Well, wonders never cease. The word wonder, the key to all those answers. What goes up must come down. 5 song titles that either end with the word up or the word down. And a mystery category we've thrown into the mix today. So, Joe, what would you like to play? Will wonders never cease? What goes up must come down, or the mystery category?
What goes up must come down.
All right. So 5 questions in 60 seconds. You go first. Woods, who's left the studio, will go second. If you beat or tie him, we'll put you into the drawing for the Las Vegas trip. Again, today's category, what goes up must come down, featuring 5 song titles that end with the word up or the word down. Start with our 2-second song, so you need to give me both the title and the artist of whatever Paulie plays to score that point. Ready to go, Joe?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. 60 seconds on the clock in the category What Goes Up Must Come Down. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Joe. Let's take on Woods.
I Won't Back Down, Tom Petty.
Correct. Now tell me which 1988 hit was a star maker for Paula Abdul.
Straight Up.
Correct. In 1979, ELO imported which hit, including the line, I'll tell you once more before I get off the floor.
Don't Bring Me Down.
Correct. A signature synthesizer open made which 1981 song with a 3-word title by the Cars, one of their biggest hits.
Pass.
Anywhere You Go, the Gin Blossoms will do what in a 1996 hit?
Pass.
A signature synthesizer open made which 1981 song with a 3-word title by the Cars, one of their biggest hits?
Pick It Up.
Correct. Anywhere You Go, the Gin Blossoms will do what in a 1996 hit?
Man. Follow You Down.
Yes, they will follow
Whoa.
you down. Very good, Joe. Very efficient.
Attaboy.
Used his 60 seconds well, used his passes well, and he will qualify for the trip to Vegas. You hang on the line, Joe. You got all 5 right, so we know you're going. Now, all we know is whether it's a win or a tie as we bring Woods back in. And he doesn't even get the category, and it's a tough one to figure out. So, welcome back to Woods. Joe's score is locked in. Reset our 2-second song, 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Joe.
I Won't Back Down, Tom Petty.
Correct. Now tell me which 1988 hit was a star maker for Paula Abdul.
Straight Up.
Correct. In 1979, ELO imported which hit, including the line, I'll tell you once more before I get off the floor.
Don't Bring Me Down.
Correct. A signature synthesizer open made which 1981 song with a 3-word title by the Cars, one of their biggest hits.
I love the Cars. Up, down. Shake It Up.
Correct. Anywhere You Go, the Gin Blossoms will do what?
Follow You Down.
Yeah!
Oh,
And you needed it because Joe got all 5 right as well. So that is a perfect Friday.
I noticed. Did he rip through them? Because I felt like I
He
was
did
out.
well.
Yeah.
He did well. He
No,
passed
he
the last couple and came back, but
he used his entire 60
he
seconds.
did use them. He got just under the wire, but did get all 5. Joe, hang on the line. Paulie will
Nice
get your
work, Joe.
information. We've got a perfect tie, though. I love when we get those.
Oh, me too.
And the category, you kind of figured it out. What goes up
Must come down.
must come down. All songs ended with the word down or up. We
Love it.
alternated down, up, down
Some bangers in that.
on
in
those
there, too.
titles.
Yeah,
So
real
good
bangers.
way to finish the week there on Take on Woods.
Yeah,
I love
was
it
a lot of
when
fun.
I never have to say no. We don't hear a buzz at
Yeah,
all
it's great.
on Take
It's
on
fun.
Woods. All right, so Don't Do This is coming up next.
Ooh, you got a good one, Benny.
All right, so you probably shouldn't be posting on social media if you're an athlete during the game to begin with.
I'm glad you brought this
That's
up
just
down.
let's just start there, and we'll expand on the story when we come back.
I do have a theory. I have a theory as to what happened.
I do too. But we'll discuss it coming up next on Don't Do This with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, don't forget you can listen to Sammy Levitt's podcast, Inside San Diego Baseball. He's covering everything going on with the Padres at all times. Find it at 973thefansd.com, the Odyssey app, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, I will start Don't Do This today. In the NFL preseason, had the Eagles hosting the Browns
Yes.
last night.
Did not watch.
I did not either. You missed an 18-18 tie if you would have watched the game. And the
I wouldn't
reason
say I've been missing it, Bob.
the reason why the Browns didn't win had a lot to do with their kicker, Cade York, who's already been having a tough preseason. Missed some kicks early. Browns or fans are saying, hey, we're going to need a new kicker here. However, he did make a kick in the first half yesterday. Good for him.
Did his job.
I mean, you're kind of doing your job. So his Instagram account, his personal Instagram account, at halftime shared a team post celebrating that field goal. Like, yeah, made a field goal. Now, I don't know that, he was on his phone at halftime, like going, oh, I'm going to share that. He may have a team or, a significant other or someone who has access to his account who then just shared, hey, look, Cade made a field goal. Let's hype this up. Hey, Cade made a field goal. The only problem is he had 2 field goals in the last couple of minutes of the game to win it. 2 chances, 47 yards wide right, 42 yards wide left, and they ended up tying the game 18-18. Shortly after that, the halftime post was then deleted. Like, maybe we shouldn't be celebrating the first half field goal when the game isn't quite over yet.
It does beg an interesting question. And I've seen, and actually friends of mine, people I really like, have texted me after some Padres losses, and they'll go to our players' Instagram stories. And let's say, I'll just use him as an example. I'm not ripping on him at all because I love our young Prince Fernando Tatis Jr. So let's say Nando hits a home run, right? And after the game, the Padres lose 5-2. Nando sends out on his Instagram stories his home run. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, but you lost the game. Or, Blake Snell doesn't have a good start, and then Blake Snell's account sends out a picture of his sneakers after the loss, right?
Try not to be tone deaf.
Yeah, but it always makes me wonder, and I've responded to these people, and I said, look, at the end of the day, I don't know that they don't have like a marketing team that's just there to send out their highlights. Like, I don't know that Jake Cronenworth spends a ton of time on his personal Instagram. He posted something about his baseball camp, but I don't know that came from him. It does feel a little bit icky to me, though, after we just lost the game. We lost our 3rd in a row, and you're like, yeah, but I hit a home run, or right. I made a field goal. It is odd, though, that it came up at halftime when he would have been in the locker room on his phone scrolling. Well, I'll just share this.
Yeah, probably shouldn't post anything during the game when you're on the field from a personal account, even if you're not the one posting. By the way, Sub don't do this from the same game to the Philadelphia Eagles fans. So a couple of scary moments for Browns players, including Tyree Cleveland, their wide receiver, got a collision and ended up a neck injury. So they had to bring out the cart, the stretcher to take him off the field. Now, what do most fan bases do when a player, you get quiet, really quiet, and you kind of go
cheer when
murmur,
they go away.
And then when they walk, or taken off the field, you give polite applause for the opposing team player who just got hurt for your entertainment purposes. Eagles fans just did the wave through the entire stretchering of the player off the field. Just keep waving. Just keep doing the wave all the way around. Can't let that wave die out, even though someone's getting taken off the field on a stretcher.
They wonder why they get a bad rap sometimes. Yeah. Paulie, did you get that one? Is it any good?
We're good.
Okay, so this is pretty funny. Got some audio from a tennis match.
I saw this.
I would love for you to try to say
I know. I was just going to say I'm going to butcher this.
We've said it before on the show.
We have?
Oh, yeah.
Stefanos.
Spell it first.
S-T. All right, Stefanos. T-S-I-T-S-I-P-S. Tsitsipas.
Yeah, not bad. Tsitsipas. Yeah, Tsitsipas.
What do you think I was going to say? To sit is pass?
What if the S is silent?
Well, I'm surprised you even tried, honestly.
Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas.
Tsitsipas.
Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas.
No, the S is not silent. Tsitsipas.
Tsitsipas. All right, so he was playing a match in Cincinnati, and so there was a bug around him. He thought, and he tried to swat this imaginary bug, and it turns out the noise that he heard, he thought that it was coming from a spectator, and this is what happened.
The Sinners win in Canada.
It's a person imitating a bee.
Oh, yeah?
I'll take care. But it's a buzz right before I serve.
There's a person imitating a bee
Imi-
right before I serve.
Imitating a bee.
There's a person imitating a bee.
Oh, yeah?
I'll take care. But it's a buzz right before I serve. You think that's?
No, that's
okay?
good. That's good. Yeah.
Imitating a bee, that is a new one. A bit of a surprising one, that one. Taking matters into his own hands, yeah?
You should shut up back there. I hear what you're doing. So he actually walked over and confronted this female fan.
Well, he didn't know exactly who it was. Did you see what happened? He walked over to the area where the sound was coming from and was like, hey, who's doing that? One of the guys who was sitting behind her, like, raises his hand, like, points so she can't see, like,
Snitch.
it was her.
Snitch.
It was her. It wasn't me. It was her. She's the one sounding like a bee in your
Wasn't me.
during your serve.
Fantastic.
Blame this person.
It is just the best thing ever. She's imitating a bee. Oh, okay. She is? All right. Imitating a bee. I've never heard that one before. Brilliant.
Finally,
what are we doing here? Is this? We have like a couple of sound drops for this.
we do.
Well, for this last one, is this a don't?
This is
do this?
So this is a tip.
And-
This is
No,
a tip.
we're not
your cap.
gonna do a do this for somebody
No,
passing
but
away.
this is a tip your cap. Shout out to his family
Yeah.
for one of the longtime greats that probably not that familiar with here in Southern California. Worked his career in Canada and with the Buffalo Sabres for half a century. Craig Elston, actually, who's coming up in just a couple of minutes, introduced me to this announcer 25 years ago when we were first working together on radio. He was one of his favorite hockey highlights always to pull when the Buffalo Sabres would score a goal, and he'd say, get that call by Rick Jenneret, the voice of the Buffalo Sabres, because he had one of the most unique deliveries in all of sports. Rick Jenneret passed away yesterday after a very long career calling hockey play-by-play. You probably, maybe, if you listen to enough sports, have heard this guy before, but he always made it interesting. Here's a little Rick Jenneret for you.
Top shelf where mama hides the cookies.
You know what I like, though? It goes to show that
Top shelf where mama hides the cookies.
you don't have to have a perfect radio voice to be a great radio announcer. I mean, he sounds like a cartoon character, but what a great delivery. He had, funny lines like top shelf where mama hides the cookies. He had one of his signature lines, and it was one of the most successful and long-standing Canadian and American hockey announcers of all time.
Shout him out.
Shout out to his family.
Shout out to his family.
Thank you, sir.
So,
What was his name?
Rick Jenneret.
I was going to say Tsitsipas. That was the other guy. Rick Jenneret.
And that is Don't Do This, and a shout out to his family on a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Craig Elston is going to join us, and kind of my request last week, he's followed up on season 2 of Winning Time, the LA Lakers show on Max that is streaming now, season number 2 underway. Give us his thoughts on the first couple of episodes, but I saw, Jeff Pearlman, who wrote the book that it's based on. We had him on when the show came out last year. Is a little nervous that it's not getting enough love to bring it back for a season 3, which I think would be just a shame. Because
Kind of made me mad when I saw that.
Yeah,
Talking about how the writer's strike is really like the production studios are now really cracking down and be like, all right, like you better hit your numbers then. And they're not hitting their numbers.
Which blows me away because it's I can't stand the Lakers and I love this show. I think it's brilliant.
So Craig Elston will join us next for Crossing Streams on a Friday, and then AJ Preller at 8 o'clock on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is once again brought to you by the Farmer's Dog. Fresh, human-grade dog food delivered right to your door. Good health starts with healthy food that goes for dogs, too. Farmer's Dog delivers fresh, human-grade food right to your door, so it's easy to quit the burnt brown balls and feed your dog real food. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com.
I love Farmer's Dog.
/dog days.
Quit the what?
Burnt brown balls.
Say that. Oh, boy. What does that mean? Oh, like the little
Kibble,
kibble?
the little kibble nuggets. That's what we get, like salmon, and I think it's salmon and rice kibble or something that we feed our dogs. It's the big Costco, the blue bag from Costco.
So fun ripping that bag open
Good
and then
smell.
wafting up into you and you vomiting in all over the burnt brown balls of the bag. Just absolutely.
It's not pleasant.
Oh, the dogs are like, oh, cool, salmon and rice again by the truckload.
It's good to keep their diet consistent.
It
You
is.
don't want them
It
to get
is.
upset tummies.
As far as we
but-
know.
Hey,
Because,
there's
you
a
know,
new-
they can't communicate with us.
That's true.
So
We, like I said earlier, we have Farmer's Dog for our old guy, and it's changed his life. It's really, really good stuff. It looks awful.
Yeah.
But it is great. It is
Yeah.
actual food.
Yeah.
Condensed down to dog food for them, and
Can't do it,
like
man.
he gets beef, chicken, or turkey flavored food.
I can't do the wet.
There
I
was
cannot do
nothing
it,
worse
bro.
than like the Cal can.
Yeah, it's not like that.
cans of
It's like that cranberry gelatin that people eat.
Yes.
I don't.
but it's low quality meat based cranberry
Meat jello.
jelly.
Yeah, meat jello. That's what it is.
That-
Here's some meat and
had to
salmon
be
jello.
that has to be one of the most disgusting things that is just in existence.
Yeah. Burnt brown balls. Thank you.
All right, Craig Elston is standing by. Little crossing streams on a Friday right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family. Here's Kelly Danick.
No accidents to report, but things in the roadway that could potentially cause accidents. For instance, some wood pallets reported in middle lanes on the southbound side of the 5 right before Washington Street. Stalled trash truck partially blocking the transition ramp westbound 52 to south 163. And got a stalled vehicle blocking the left turn lane of the Poway Road off-ramp at northbound 15 in Killy-Dana. With that in Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline and on our YouTube stream. There he is, Craig Elston, with us here on a Friday. And Craig, I assume you enjoyed our shout out to Rick Jeanneret's family in our last segment. I know he was one of your favorites.
I did hear that. I was listening to it before coming on, and
we were
an
trying a new
absolute legend.
system, and we're trying to iron out all the little kinks of the audio problems that
It
we're
is
getting. And we
kinky.
see Craig, but we don't hear Craig yet. So now we're getting a nice echo.
This is my favorite segment.
Hello.
Ricola. Please let's keep doing that. It's the most fun I've had all week.
So we had a meeting yesterday about how we've done it one way because we don't want an echo, but then it was like, no, it's not going to echo. Don't worry, we won't get the
It
echo.
will not
It
echo.
will not echo. You'll be fine. It won't echo.
That was my favorite
And we
segment we've
just
ever done.
got
By
the
the way,
echo.
just now.
Well,
so
Craig,
good. Just call
how's
in.
your American Sign Language? Because we could just do this.
Oh my god!
No,
Oh,
I
no.
love you.
Wait.
Yeah, I love you.
Yeah,
Craig just. I wouldn't do that one.
I'm getting pissed.
There he is.
Well, no, he can't
No, he can't hear us. So the echo.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Just call in. Just call in. 833-978-0978. I love you, Craig. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
we'll talk to you on the phone in like 30 seconds. Sorry about
Does
that.
he think we were doing that on purpose?
No, we were not. It's not a bit. It's not a bit. It's we're working through some technical, hopefully improvements to the show. But everything here is by the seat of our pants.
Always fun to workshop
As
those
always.
on the air live. It's so good.
Well, there's really no other way to do it.
I know.
except
You
for
can't
on-
test
you
it.
won't
You
know
have to do it.
until you do it on the air.
It's so good.
Yeah, there's
I'll
there's
do
no
it live.
there's no dress rehearsal to Ben and Woods. We don't get here at all right, we're gonna do from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. We'll do the dress rehearsal of the show.
I wouldn't
and then
do
we'll
this
do the,
job if we had to do
the
that. I
real
promise
show
you.
from 6 to 10 a.m. and do the actual show. So let's go out on the phone to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline And this should work because this is the tried and true method of radio interviews. Hi, Craig. Sorry
Hi,
about
handsome.
Oh, hi guys.
that.
How are you?
Yeah, you sound good.
I
this
swear
morning.
we were not doing a bit. That's just technical issues, man. And if we were going to do that bit, we wouldn't do it to you.
Oh, they could hear him on the stream.
Oh.
We just couldn't hear him here.
We would have done
That's
it to
weird.
Lee Lowenfish if we were going to do it to anyone. But yeah, Ben was asking you about the Sabres announcer that he knew you were a big fan of.
Yeah, Rick Jenneret, an absolute legend in hockey. And I think you said it in your introduction. They just honored him last year. He retired last season, like 50 years in the booth. And, you know, it's one of those things, man. He is one of the last of the legends. You know, the modern play-by-play announcer is a young guy who is put into a tiny box. Don't say this, don't say that. I'm thinking Kevin Brown in Baltimore. You know, and believe me, he is by no means the only one. And instead of the legends, the Jerry Coleman, Vin Scully, Chick Hearn, Rick Jenneret, you know, who could rule the roost, you know, who are identified directly with the club and devote their life to the club to the point that you have these literal retire, die scenarios that seem to be a lot more common back in the day. Rick Jenneret, absolute legend. Every time we lose one of these great voices of the game, just know one thing, they'll never be replaced.
Talking to our pal Craig Elston here on Ben and Woods this morning, live on the phone. And Craig, I was curious. You and I had, you know, talk on the phone. We texted about this team quite a bit. Last night, I hate moral victories. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. It's still a loss. We needed that win. We didn't get it. The results were terrible, but the process was at least as good, if not better, than almost anything we've seen all season last night.
So the Padres definitely were unlucky in terms of barrels converted into hits yesterday. That's you know, plain to see, you know, right in front of your face. They hit Gallen hard, and they didn't get very much for it. So you can take that and you can just toss the game. And as a regular season game, that's fine. Game, hey, you hit Zach Gallen hard, you didn't get anything, you lost 3-1. Your pitchers pitched pretty good, defense was fine. Throw it out, move on. There's only one problem with that, Wood. The Padres are not in the regular season anymore.
Yeah. This is a
The
playoff
Padres
game.
are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That was a playoff game.
No doubt.
And I want to be specific about this, okay? So fans don't think like, oh, Craig is way into the weeds or he's whining or he's... Playoff games are different than regular season games by definition. And you do things in a more aggressive and a different way. And as such, while, yeah, the process was fine, things about last night's game that absolutely galled me. The first is going to be covering some familiar ground. But I have heard even Jesse on your show this week try and poo-poo the nature of carrying a dead spot on the roster not being a big deal. Like, well, the way the roster's constructed, 25, 26, it doesn't really matter. Well, guess what? Yesterday in a playoff game, you faced Zach Gallen, who is a great pitcher, who is a little bit worse against left-handers. And in his career, a little bit worse against left-handers than right-handers. You have a DH spot. Played first base so that Kim could be in the field, Manny could DH. Needed a left-handed batter lineup. That batter, Matt Carpenter, but Matt Carpenter can't play because he's not a big league player anymore. He's retired. But he's retired on an active roster. Those are the little things. One big hit could have turned yesterday's game around.
Easily, yeah.
We had a right-handed batter in the lineup where we could have had a left-handed batter. Oh, big deal. Who cares? Cooper did this, Carpenter that. These are the reasons you make these decisions. An organization as a front office. Here's another one. Look at his numbers. Good one time through the lineup. He's not good a second time through the lineup. And last night he gave you one time through the lineup clean.
Yeah.
9 up, 9 down.
Just call it.
It's hard to do that in the regular season. It's hard to do that in the regular season dealing with millionaire egos to say, hey, you went 3 strong. You're out of here, pal.
Yep.
We're going to the right-hander now. but that's what you do playoff game. Padres didn't treat yesterday like a playoff game. They treated it like a regular season game. They are now 4 games behind Arizona in the standings. They have 3 games remaining against Arizona this season. They can no longer pass them by themselves. They've lost control of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And you can look over the 3 losses to Arizona in the last week and see multiple examples of how this team, in some ways, not going to want to hear me say this, in some ways the Padres are unserious when it comes to being a playoff contender. And guess what? They're 6 games under. They're not actually a playoff contender.
We'll ask AJ Preller about the Matt Carpenter situation.
Yeah.
I think it definitely at least requires some kind of comment about the thought process of what's going on right now when we talk to him coming up in our next segment. But I agree with you, Craig. I said this series, is a must-win essentially. So that makes the next 3 games kind of like a playoff series. Well, you lose the first one, you're not eliminated,
right?
But now you got to come back and you really have to win the next 3 at the minimum. 2 out of the next 3, and that still doesn't help you at all. It just whittles away more of the season that you needed to come back to it. But did you agree? I don't know if you're listening earlier. If I look at this rest of the season now in 10-game chunks. There are 4 10-game chunks left, and they need to win 7 out of 10 each time. 70% gets them to 86 wins, I think it is. And while that's not a guarantee, as poorly as some of the other wild card contenders are playing, I do believe there's a good chance that would get the Padres in. Now, they haven't won a lot of 7 out of 10 chunks all season long, so they're going to have to play remarkably better baseball over this last 40 if they want to get it done.
Yeah, I want to quote from my Immaculate Talk co-host, Joe Sheehan, whose tremendous newsletter, comes out 4 or 5 times a week. And on the 14th, so what's that, Monday, he went through in his newsletter every year, wild card and 3 wild card era. So 2012 to 2023. And he just noted at that date, August 14th, which teams were in the playoffs. And then at the end of the season, which teams were in the playoffs. And I got to tell you, statistics, Padres. In the history from 2012 to 2023, of the 102 teams that were in playoff position on August 14th, 86 made the playoffs. 16 did not. Of those 16 guys,
oh no,
3 games. Only 5.
We lost that brilliant point. It cut out for
cut
some
out just
reason
for a second,
that,
right
that
before you
point.
made your
Right
of
before you
those
made your
16 teams, fill in the blank.
Only 5 of those 16 teams were even 3 games behind a playoff spot.
Jesus, that's tough.
I mean, and that makes sense, Craig, because after August 15th, you've played 75% of the season. You know what teams are at that point. They've shown you what they are. Why would you expect any team that's played well to get really a lot worse, and any team that has played poorly or 500 or below to get a lot better? That makes perfect sense what you're saying.
But here's the kicker. The only team that was 5 games back, playoffs, was the 2021 St. Louis Cardinals. Do we remember the 2021 St. Louis Cardinals? 2 things happened for that team. They won 17 games in a row. Padres simultaneously went 12-31. Made the playoffs instead of the Padres. So that's what we're down to, guys.
It'd be tough to, bro. 17 in a row is the world's biggest pipe dream at this point. 4
I'll stick by my 7 out of 10 the rest of the way and take my chances at 86. It's not a guarantee, but I'll take my chances 7 out of 10 the rest of the way. But I don't think you should expect the Padres to be able to do that. I'm just saying, if you want to put a goal in your head,
kind of what you need.
That's the one. Let's get to crossing streams. We talked about it last week, the return of Winning Time, season number 2. And hey, talking about those legendary broadcasters, I love the Chick Hearn character on the show as well. Just some of the best one-liners from that you're going to get in Winning Time as well. But I think the show remains fantastic.
I do too, Ben, and I caught up and watched both of the available episodes this week of season 2. And if I guess what I would say, and I heard you guys last segment talking about, the warning in terms of from Jeff Pearlman that, the show needs to make its numbers in order to get renewed for a season 3. They were always going to have a tough go with this season because they made the choice to cover one season of Lakers basketball in that first year, 1979-80. And then this year they're covering 4 seasons in one season of television. This season 2 is really about the transition to Pat Riley. This is going to be Adrian Brody's season on Winning Time. But John C. Reilly as Jerry Buss is putting together a layered performance that is, I think, deeply, deeply underrated. It's one of those things that probably will never be nominated, but he's doing just an outstanding job of showing the layers of Jerry Buss and what made him such a unique person. The show remains a vibe. And it's like engineered in a lab for you and I, Ben.
Yeah.
Your grandpa's getting call out.
Many shout outs to my grandfather in episode 1. Doc Curlin was all over the place.
It's amazing.
I absolutely love Winning Time. I think it's uniquely filmed. It's cheeky in the way it tells its story. And I find it utterly, this is a weird word to say, but I find it adorable. Like, it's just a show I completely love and want to luxuriate in every week when it comes on.
Absolutely. And I couldn't care less about the Lakers. I didn't care less about the Lakers back then at that time. But the way that they do it, and I texted Ben and Paul, I said, I never really liked Adrian Brody at all until this. I love that man. He is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant in this show. And I am I'm now waiting by the phone on Sunday for it to load so I can watch it as soon as it comes out. It's really, really well done. I would hate to think that they can't keep this thing running, man.
Yeah, me too. And I think it just takes, getting that finishing kick across the line. It was really hard to promote it, and is in a different time slot in terms of the year last year, coming out in the summer here. I think it's smart leading into basketball season. It makes a lot of sense, but maybe a little bit slow to pick up here. There's not a ton of original TV that's debuting right now, so give Winning Time another look if it's something that you maybe sampled in the past and let go. I think it's it's the kind of show that you can truly just sit back and enjoy and have a great time watching.
Craig, appreciate it very much. It really should be called Showtime on HBO, but it's actually called Winning Time on Max.
That's right.
Craig, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Take care, boys. Talk to you next week.
Craig Elston appearing on our multiple times this morning on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Do we the echo problem? Any idea what was going on? No idea. We've got no idea. Back to square one.
I want to replay it later. I know that. That's the only thing I do know.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
Ben and Woods visit the Swiss Alps this morning with Craig Elston on the radio with the echoes. All right, we will. I know people are looking forward to this, as they always do on a Friar Friday. The general manager, the president of baseball operations, AJ Preller, he must have been tearing his hair out last night. You're waiting for your team to finally take a pitcher like Zach Gallen and just knock the ball all over the place with line drives, and he couldn't get him to fall in. Very frustrating, but there's also some questions about this team that need to be answered again as well. AJ will join us when we come back. Second half of Ben and Woods. That was a quick 2 hours right here on a Friday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, halfway home on a Friday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, our executive producer. And to my left, Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. And we are about to be joined by President of Baseball Operations, General Manager of the San Diego Padres, Benjamin AJ Preller.
Yes, and then we'll give away a Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead later this hour. And we got Padres tickets to give away in our 9 o'clock hour, as well as we head toward 10 o'clock. And wrapping it up for the weekend. Going to go down to the game tonight. Feels very must-winish for the Padres at this point after the loss yesterday.
Sure am tired of saying must win. But they all are must-win games right now.
You know, you've got so it's Brandon. It's the same matchup as Sunday.
Yeah.
Brandon fought against Seth Lugo. Now, we were pretty upset with the Padres' lack of production against Brandon Fought the first time. I'll be even more upset now that they've gotten a look at him if they can't significantly improve on what they did the last time out. So,
he was the one they scored early and
three in the first, but then could not add on. And
the dreaded
Diamondbacks,
3 runs in the first.
rallied for that win. You can't do that. I mean, Seth Lugo's pitched pretty well. You're going to need another good outing from him tonight. Got to win this one, and then you go to the weekend with Yu Darvish on the mound and Michael Wacha coming back again, and hopefully still a way to come back and win this series against the Diamondbacks, because you can't lose any more ground. You really have to make up ground the rest of the way. But as you promised, we're going to go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline on a Friday, and we're joined right now by the president of baseball operations, general manager for the San Diego Padres, AJ Preller. AJ, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, we know sometimes luck is part of baseball. A game like last night, I mean, what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do during a game like that when obviously, you guys are hitting the ball hard all over the place. You get some really good pitching performances, and the ball just will not fall in the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of positives last night, and then honestly, I think that's you look at the approach, the swings, tons of hard contact. I think I think the part there is that we all know we do that and consistently for the next 40 games. We're gonna score a lot of runs, and we'll find the holes and get the balls either an inch fair or balls over the fence. But we do that the next 40 days. We're gonna score a lot of runs and then win a lot of games, honestly.
I tweeted pretty much the same thing last night, AJ, but with the record being what it is, the sometimes languid offensive performances this season, it's kind of hard to, is it hard for you? Because I know it's hard for the fans. Is it hard to you to trust that approach and that, kind of grind it out mentality and make sure to barrel baseballs? Is it hard for you to wrap your head around that they can do that for the next 40 games?
No, I mean, I think we, that watching that last night, I think we feel like that's what we're capable of, and getting there consistently, and really the conversation, hey, making sure from a mechanic standpoint, approach standpoint, what we're trying to do, team offense. I think we've shown it at different times throughout the season, but right there's a blueprint. We bring that tonight. I think good things are going to happen, and at this point, about 40 games left to go, a quarter of the way to go. There's still a lot of season left, and again, we swing the bats like that. We're gonna score a lot of runs.
Last time we talked to you was right at the trade deadline. I know you were excited about those moves. Mixed results. Garrett Cooper's been heating up, but G-Man Choi on the injured list. Rich Hill is 0-3, even though he had some bad luck yesterday as well. Scott Barlow's had mixed results. What's your evaluation of kind of what you've seen from the new guys that you acquired at the deadline?
Yeah, I think like you said, I think those guys are required, to add some depth and fill some complementary roles. We've gotten a couple big swings from Cooper. I think Ruben and Ben Fritz have done some things with Scott Barlow here recently. We've seen a velocity uptick, and his last couple outings have been throwing the ball really well. So expect him to be a big part of the pen here in the last month down the stretch. And again, I think we feel like, even going into the deadline, we have the pieces here to win. We have, it's going to really come down to, the guys that are in the lineup every single day. And I think with the trade deadline acquisitions, they're meant to, get up to speed and quickly and kind of complement what we feel like is a roster that's capable.
Talking to Padres president of baseball operations, general manager AJ Preller here on Ben and Woods this morning. And you know that this season's been tough. We've talked to you a bunch last year, and you know this season it's just everything's been a little more tense and terse. And every conversation we have is a bit like a cross-examination, AJ, instead of our usual lighthearted selves. But I think one of the biggest questions, the one that we get kind of the most, and wanted some clarification from your perspective as the GM and president. Matt Carpenter's situation. I think we all agreed. We bought in when you brought him over, and now 1AB in the last 3 weeks, a month or something. Does that? How do you justify that to the fan base that says, hey, we got 40 games left. Shouldn't we have a full, complete team that we're able to use? I mean, what is the plan, or what was the plan for Matt Carpenter, and what happened?
Yeah, I think with Matt, again, I think bringing him in here was, obviously we looked at the last few years, and getting into the postseason last year, it was, we want to extend our lineup. Matt brings the ability to have some quality ABs. It's a tough at bat for him, and hasn't swung the bat the way he's wanted to here so far, early part of for the season. And I think with us, it's I think he's capable of. I know he's able to have see ball strike. I think he brings a lot to the club in a lot of different ways. We talk about that all the time, and I think we have a commitment to Matt, or the ability with an option for next year that we're weighing out. And again, we'll look at the team, and if we feel like, hey, there's an ability to we want to use that spot in a different way, we'll have that conversation. But honestly, I think there's a belief in that as a player, and ultimately we haven't, we made some of the deadline acquisitions, and I haven't seen the spots in the last month to get regular playing time. But again, I think the biggest part for me, the focus of the club is still like the guys that are in there every single day, that are grinding every day. That's the group that we have to get. Playing like they're capable of, and I think with Matt, it's he'll be ready. He's out there working every single day, and when we see opportunity, I know he'll be ready to go out there and perform.
Woods gets to be the prosecutor, so I'll be the friendly attorney on the defense side. And, I will give you credit, because a lot of people said there's no way to rebuild a farm system without a bunch of top 10 draft picks. Yet somehow Padres in the latest rankings that just came out, top 9, top 7 farm system all of a sudden in baseball, with 4 or even 5 top 100 players. What have you seen? What's kind of gone right? Your evaluation of your farm system as it stands right now, AJ?
Yeah, I mean, our scouts and our coaches do a great job. I think that's just been consistent theme really over the last 6 or 7 years here in terms of getting talent through the system. We've had different stretches where I think we'll, again, we've graduated guys to the big leagues. We've made trades, and look up and guys like Blake Snell and Musgrove and Yu Darvish and Juan Soto and Josh Hader on the roster, and that's because in scouting development we're strong. And I think I think again, it's a testament to that group, the ability to really the last couple of years as we've moved pieces, we've graduated guys to the big leagues, we've trying to continue to push to win at the big league level, to keep maintaining a farm system that's elite. And I think we saw it last year. Sometimes the rankings, you kind of look at that, and again, it's a measure of what the industry may feel at different times. But I think early last year we felt like, man, we have some real talent that maybe people aren't quite aware of in our system, and I think that showed through. And those guys have moved to sit through the system and done well, or guys that gave us the ability to make a couple of big deals. Same thing this year. We've had some great development this year on the minor league side, and I think that's reflected in the rankings here recently. And we feel like we have a top system, again right now. And some guys I think people are starting to get some recognition, and that's a good thing. And some players starting to move their way closer to Petco here over the course of the next 12 to 18 months.
I mean, one report coming out this morning, AJ, about one prospect potentially moving closer to Petco even this season. Any truth to the Jackson Merrill to the San Diego Padres sooner than later rumor?
No, I mean, I think I didn't. I think with Jackson, I think maybe people saw last night he played the outfield, so that probably starts some speculation. But no, I think with Jackson, it's really just part of it. From a development plan standpoint, giving him some ability to move around the field and really just some experiences at different spots. And again, guys breaking into the big leagues, they'll usually, can break in different spots in the lineup, maybe a different place on the field. And I think for him, he's an athlete that's versatile. And, just the last few weeks, he's been getting some time with Vinny Lopez and the minor league group down there, just trying at different spots, and just seeing how it plays out. And, this way down the road, whenever that is, if he is, coming to the big league level, it just gives him some options and gives us some different things to look at as we kind of continue his development path.
Well, I know he's still hitting the ball well and stole home, and that was pretty sweet right after Fernando did. But how has he handled that? I mean, I can't imagine being that young, and then they're like, "Hey, I know you've been a shortstop your whole life. Go play some first. Go play some left. Go play some right. Whatever." How has he handled that? Is that a test of sorts that you guys will put a young player through to see if they're capable of overcoming adversity and things like that, or is it just we think you're a better fit here or there?
Yeah, no, I don't think he or we see it like as adversity. I think it's more just opportunity. And he's played other spots. He's been on summer travel teams and played with other elite players and played different places. I think in the draft, I think we looked at him as a shortstop, but really it was his bad athleticism, makeup, and from a defensive standpoint, we looked at him and said he's gonna be able to play a lot of different spots. And again, when you have somebody that's talented and can play shortstop, it's a quality thing, and then also the ability to move around the field. So I think from his standpoint, I think he's as an opportunity. He always is looking for challenges. He's wired that way, and I think we've done our staff has explained it to him as far as let's see what how you handle some other positions. And he's responded well to the AA challenge and also moving around the field a little bit.
Talking to AJ Preller here on Ben and Woods on a Friar Friday. And AJ, I think if there's one social media comment I've been getting more often than any other lately, it's fans who are wondering, when is Pedro Avila going to get a chance now in the starting rotation? He's thrown so well out of the bullpen, usually coming in after Rich Hill. Obviously, Rich struggled in his first couple of starts with the Padres. My answer usually is, well, Rich Hill was required to be a starter, and they've got to give him that opportunity. But I will ask you, what's it going to take for Pedro Avila to maybe, crack the opportunity in the starting rotation, or is that something that won't come maybe until next spring?
He's I think that he's pitched really well for us, and showing multiple pitches and the ability to command the baseball here, and he's put himself in those conversations. So I think we talked about it a little bit after the last outing, and ultimately decided that having Rich just to start the game and then Pedro to follow was the way we wanted to go. But he's put himself in that conversation. I think the next couple of days we'll talk more with Bob and with Ruben, kind of about the next time through. And again, I think credit to Pedro that he continues to throw the ball well. And like anything, the more the more success you have, the more opportunity you're going to get. And we'll keep talking about the best ways to utilize Pedro here in the next few days.
Well, and we all think we know the best thing for the San Diego Padres, AJ. That's what everybody does. I mean, it's just one of the best and worst parts about baseball. Everyone thinks that they've got the solution and the right answer. And ultimately, whose decision is that to make? Is Bob, does he come to you and say, AJ, I think this kid belongs? Or you say, hey, you need to give him a shot in the rotation? How does one come to that conclusion? Because, if it's strictly a numbers and performance thing, it seems to me, and I think a lot of fans, like a no-brainer. And I know there are egos to massage and things like that, but just wanted your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk, all the time about myself, the coaches in terms of, best way to utilize the roster and what it looks like. So, I think, again, like we'll have those conversations, that had them last week and continue to have them in the next couple of days. And ultimately there's a lot of factors at play, and I think, the number one factor is, hey, what do we feel like is best to go win the game and go play really well here in the next 40 days and try to get a wild card spot. So, again, that'll be no different. We'll sit down again the next few days, kind of talk about, hey, where we're at, roster wise, restaurant wise, everything, what we feel like we need to do, and, make a decision here on the best way to utilize Pedro.
And last one for me, AJ, do you feel like, or can you comment on the team's urgency and your manager's urgency. We just had Craig Ellison on. He was talking about kind of, these are playoff games and there aren't, there's 40 games left in the course of a baseball season. It's about a quarter of the season left, right? Somewhere around there.
Quarter of the
season. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like there's that many games left. That being said, do you feel like that the players are playing with and the manager is managing with enough urgency to get us where ultimately we need to be? And that's, at this point, getting a wild card and getting into the playoffs and trying to do some damage.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to phrase it in terms of 40 games left, and I think in terms of the urgent, kind of playoff style baseball, I think I think the way for us to look at it these last 40 games, to treat these games like playoff type games, and I think one we're going to need to do that if we're going to make up the deficit and get into the playoffs. And I think the second thing is, we get into the playoffs, we should be battle tested because we've played that style of baseball here down the stretch. So we kind of put ourselves in that position. And I think, just like you guys were mentioning, I think that's probably the way that we've talked about it here internally. And, again, like that's what we're going to need to do if we're going to put ourselves in that spot here in the next 40 days.
Just out of curiosity before you go, I know you can't control the weather, but there's a hurricane barreling down on San Diego, and a really good chance you might face a rainout possibly on Sunday. That does impact, though, your kind of roster decisions and your pitching matchups. Have you put any kind of advanced thought into that and any things that you can share with us about potential plans for makeup games and what you might have to do if that does happen this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we've already had conversations. Obviously, us and the league, we're monitoring what happens from the weather standpoint, which you don't usually have to worry about in San Diego. So I think we'll be aware of it. It's again, I've different plans there going forward, but I think it's one of these. We'll get into the next couple of days and let everybody that's tracking track, and we're just focused really on tonight and go from there.
It's just been a weird season for sure. I mean, this is just another weird thing and in a weird season, but it's not over yet. And we wish you, AJ, and the team best of luck in these last 40. Still at that time to go on a run, and we're cheering for you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
All right, AJ Preller, President of Baseball Operations, General Manager of the San Diego Padres, on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Very interesting answer to what you just asked him at the end, Woods. I want to talk about that when we come back.
Somebody needs to get him a lozenge.
He
talks a lot.
I bet he was shouting during that game last night. I would if I was the GM.
I did.
It's like,
I'm not the GM.
No, not yet. Another line out of Tommy Pham. Mother How can they all go directly right at him?
Tommy Pham had 69 putouts last night.
Why don't you just swing 20% less hard so the ball falls in?
I want to die.
Idiots.
That comment ruined my day. Just so you know, you've ruined my Friday.
That was like 6:05 a.m.
Put me in. I've just been on the shelf.
He's just been done.
All right, we'll react to that. If you want to join us, 833-288-0973 with more Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. You can join our friends Gwen and Chris as they broadcast live next Tuesday starting at 2 p.m. at Bootlegger, located at 8th and Market downtown, leading up to the Padres-Marlins game. They'll be giving away tickets to the Padres, SeaWorld, and to see Darius Rucker at Gallagher Square. It's all brought to you by Coors Light, keeping San Diego chill. So I thought the most interesting answer at the end, maybe because it was a little unexpected for me, when you asked him about urgency. Are you seeing enough urgency from the manager and the players, knowing that these are kind of playoff games? And I was thinking more, there's no such thing as the playoffs in August. It's still August. Obviously every game's important, but you can't manage every game like a playoff game. I was sort of expecting something like that, but we got an unequivocal, we gotta act like every game pretty much is a playoff game the rest of the way.
Here's what AJ said.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to phrase it in terms of 40 games left, and I think in terms of the urgent, kind of playoff style baseball, I think I think the way for us to look at it, these last 40 games, to treat these games like playoff type games, and I think one we're going to need to do that if we're going to make up the deficit and get into the playoffs. And I think the second thing is, we get into the playoffs, we should be battle tested because we played that style of baseball here down the stretch. So we kind of put ourselves in that position. And I think, just like you guys were mentioning, I think that's probably the way that we've talked about it here internally. And, again, like that's what we're going to need to do if we're going to put ourselves in that spot here in the next 40 days.
Yeah. I mean, you're also, you're at this point though, who cares? Like if they're fried the next 40 days, they make good money to get fried and worked hard the last 40 days.
Guess what? If it doesn't go well, they'll have months off to relax and recover.
That's exactly right. I mean, this is the definition of put up or shut up.
Now, they should always be trying as hard as they can. But for me, playoff baseball, what does that mean? How is that different in your mind?
For pitching, it means the leashes are extremely
short.
I
agree with that.
Knowing, because there have been times that I've defended Bob Melvin and the staff for saying, it's Suarez's inning. He's not 100%. He doesn't look like he's 100% locating, and his stuff isn't exactly what you want it to be. But it's his inning. Let's see if he can get out of it, right? Let's see how he reacts. We need him down the stretch in that 8th inning. And, you leave him in one batter too long and it happens. But I think now there's got to be, I think a quicker hook is necessary. But again, if you're Bob Melvin, your quicker hook, who do you go to for your quicker hook? That's ultimately been the issue all year. Like, okay, I can make a move. Is that guy going to be better? He hasn't really proven he has. So is everybody going to magically be able to do their jobs better with these 40 games? Hone in? I don't know. I doubt it, but that's what we're faced with.
Part of that urgency is also managing without regard for tomorrow.
Correct.
Like, if you need to bring in tomorrow's starting pitcher
to get it out,
to get through that game, then you need to, because that's a playoff game, and you worry about tomorrow. Now, tomorrow will still exist. You will still have to come
and figure out
how to win a game. And at some point, you may run out of bodies if you keep doing that over 40 games.
It's why you don't do it for 162.
Yeah.
It's why I get in these conversations in April and May of, hey, man, it's a really long year. You cannot manage every game like a game 7. And I don't think you can manage, Ben, the next 40 like they're a game 7, right? Like a game 7 is different entirely. But you need to manage it like it's the first round of the playoffs and you want to move on. And, I think there are exceptions to every rule. I think Yu Darvish is an exception. I feel supremely confident that Yu Darvish, of all our pitchers, can walk the bases loaded and get out of it unscathed. If he walks the bases loaded in his next start, I don't pull him to go put in Tom Cosgrove. Okay,
same with Blake Snell.
Correct. There's exceptions to every rule.
He may be the one who got you into the trouble, but who's your best option to get out of it?
Him.
It's Blake Snell. So, yes, there's always that question you have to answer. What's our best path to victory right now? Now, it's not always yanking your starter after 3 innings.
Right.
That's not the case. Your bullpen's not good enough to manage that way.
Correct.
But you do have to manage, what's the best way we can win this game? And you do have to sometimes sacrifice whatever may be in the future. And that may be bring Josh Hader in for 4 outs, or bring Josh Hader in the 8th inning of a key situation where you wouldn't have done that in the regular season, but you might do it now because it's kind of playoff baseball for the rest of the way.
Yeah, it is, and I'd like to see Bob manage that way. I'd like to see the players play that way. Certainly. Listen, one thing we haven't mentioned. And, hard hit balls aside and all that. And again, there was a stat that just came out. Zach Gallen's start last night by measurement was the luckiest start of the year. I understand. The top,
like for anybody in any game,
baseball, this season.
So that means the Padres had the unluckiest performance in baseball yesterday.
Gallen with the luckiest start of the year is measured by XWOBA, expected weighted on base.
He should have given up a ton of hits and runs based on the contact the Padres were making. And just got incredibly lucky.
Number one is Zach Gallen. That being said, you see what our top 5 did last night? Both things can be true. They took an 0 for 14, is that right? 17, something like that?
Yeah.
Our top 5 who in the world is going to win baseball games with your top 5 guys in the order: Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Ha-Seong Kim, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Xander Bogaerts, not scratching out one single hit. And I understand that some of the balls were hit hard. Some of them weren't.
A lot of them were.
A lot of them weren't.
I mean, more of them were than weren't. Let's see. Look at these. Tatis, 105.7 mile an hour. Fly out, 650 XBA. Manny Machado, 104.3 mile an hour, 870 XBA fly out. Juan Soto, 103.7 mile an hour, 450 XBA ground out. Luis Campusano, 102 miles an hour, 670 XBA line out. Jake Cronenworth, 100 miles an hour, 450 XBA ground out. Ha-Seong Kim, 99 miles an hour, 770 XBA line out. Jake Cronenworth, 98 miles an hour, 500 XBA. Oh, that was a double. He got that one. Xander, 630 XBA line out. Ha-Seong Kim, line out. Juan Soto, line out.
But when you say like Manny Machado with
Bogart's
104
line out.
miles per
Line
hour
out.
on a fly out and an 870 XBA, that means 87%
Percent
of the time
that
that's
turns
expected to be a hit.
or an extra base hit.
Extra base
Yeah.
hit.
I mean, it was just really, really unlucky last night.
Yeah, but it was also, again, both things can be true. You got unlucky. You also took an 0 for your top 5. You're not going to win baseball games that way.
No, and that's fine. I will take that loss every day of the week. If the Padres played 100,
if they gotta lose,
if the Padres played 162 games like
Give
that
me
last
that.
night, they'd win 115 of them. I mean, that is the kind of baseball game you want your team playing every single night. It didn't work out last night. Flush it, move on to today. Unfortunately, they don't have the luxury of flushing too many of these the rest of the season.
There cannot be too many more flushes.
All right. They may have to flush one on Sunday based on the weather. And we just thought it'd be interesting since this is so unusual what's bearing down on San Diego. My colleague from ABC 10 News, our morning meteorologist, Vanessa Paz, is going to check in with us about Hurricane Hillary. Just kind of what it means. Like, is it going to hit? When's it going to hit? How is it going to impact the Padres? We have some questions. She may have some answers when we come back on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's 8:40 on a Friday morning, Ben and Woods. And if I look out our windows, we're up here on the 6th floor of our Odyssey studios. You wouldn't know there was anything coming right now.
Looks
Beautiful
nice,
day.
yeah.
Beautiful Friday morning in San Diego. But I trust our meteorologists at ABC 10 News and elsewhere that says there's a storm a-brewing, and it's on its way. We're going to talk with my colleague Vanessa Paz right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family. Here's Kelly Tannick.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Got a couple problems here, guys. Southbound side of the 805 near Home Avenue. They just cleared a crash out of lanes. Also traveling on westbound King Freeway just before the 805. An accident involving a couple vehicles. Looks like one may be blocking a slow lane, another vehicle over to the right shoulder. Traffic in San Diego may be stressful, so let Viejas Casino and Resort alleviate your anxiety. Take a dip in alluring relaxation, rejuvenate in Willow Spa, or win that life-changing jackpot. Your unmatched staycation experience is just 25 minutes from downtown, Viejas Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Dana with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So Woods, like myself, our next guest grew up here in San Diego. And neither of us has ever seen a hurricane or a tropical storm because they haven't happened in over a century for a hurricane and over 80 years for a tropical storm. But we could have one coming up. And joining us right now on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline is my AM colleague from ABC 10 News, meteorologist Vanessa Paz. Vanessa, we don't cross paths much at work, so I do appreciate you joining me on the radio this morning.
Yeah, my pleasure, Ben. Thanks for having me to talk about this very significant storm system that's headed our way. It seems to be the hot topic, I know, on a lot of people's minds as we inch towards the weekend. So it is right in time for the weekend, as I know a lot of activities, including Padres games, are happening. So thanks for having me.
Now, my wife's father was at a time a meteorologist, and I asked her this morning. I said, "Would your dad get super excited about things like this?" And she's like, "Not really, because nothing really ever happened." I said, "Oh, that's a good point."
Yeah.
Now, for you, this is like the Super Bowl and the World Series kind of all rolled into one.
It really is. I was actually just texting our other meteorologist, Megan Perry, and just talking to her. She's on maternity, as you all know, and she's like, "Oh, it's got to be so crazy for you right now." I said, "Yeah, but it's fun. It's definitely everyone's on their, keeping everyone on their toes with this system here." And I'm getting multiple messages about, should I be worried about this? And I'm just going to jump right into it. As you guys know, the tropics. Picture perfect example of it was the hurricane force winds in Maui, which caused, of course, those detrimental wildfires. The tropics have been very active this season with hurricane, tropical storms, and it's mainly because of those really warm waters that we see closer to the equator. It's basically a breeding ground for tropical storms, and right now there are a few that we've actually been keeping our eye on, including Fernando and Greg. They're weakening as they move west towards the Hawaii Islands and the Eastern Pacific. But Hurricane Hillary, it's been the main focus and strongest system that we are currently tracking as it aims to make a bullseye for San Diego County. So as of this morning, it's tracked about a few hundred miles from the southern tip of Baja California. It's moving west-northwest at about 15 miles per hour, and it has max sustained winds of 145 miles per hour. So this is rapidly intensifying. We'd like to use that description as it grew over the past few days. It was just a remnant low, and that was just on Tuesday. We're now at Friday, and it's tracking at a Category 4. So it's also what we like to describe as a young and healthy system. So as it turns off the Baja Peninsula, and that's currently its path, it'll weaken to Category 3, then to Category 2 as it enters cooler waters, which is typically around that 80-degree or so range and below. But it's still going to pack a punch in terms of winds and moisture, as we all know hurricanes and tropical storms do. It's basically just packed with warm, humid, rising air. Now, despite the center of the storm not reaching landfall until Sunday, San Diego County and parts of northern Baja will start to feel the effects of the outer bands of Hurricane Hillary. That will be in the form of high winds and heavy rain, and that will happen as early as tomorrow afternoon. Now, it looks like Saturday, the mountains and deserts will get the most action in terms of isolated rain, thunderstorms, and gusty winds, while the coastal and inland areas will really start to see those clouds beef up, and some of those clouds could actually potentially squeeze out some light shower activity. And then by Saturday in the late afternoon, some of that instability of precipitation could spread inland along the coast, producing showers and heavy bands of rain, which of course could be a really big concern for those folks who are headed to East Village, the gas plant, for the Padres night game. All right, so then as we head into the late hours of Saturday, the tropical storm will continue moving northward. It will still weaken as it's on its way to make landfall in northern Baja, right at the tip of the Mexico-U.S. border. And this is when things start to get pretty exciting, ramped up in terms of gusty, damaging winds and heavy rain. We'll start to see the winds pick up, exceeding close to 50 miles per hour. And those are also known as tropical storm force winds. So that's pretty rare because we usually see it weaken to a post-tropical storm with the wind significantly decreasing. But we're looking at, again, influx of winds, the high winds, as it inches closer to San Diego County.
Vanessa, can I jump in for just 1 second?
Yeah,
First of all,
course,
you can tell
of
she's a
course.
great meteorologist because she talks in like 3 to 4 minute chunks
Just
without stopping,
cruising.
which is what you're supposed to do on television. But I want to ask, is that obviously it's looking like
Wrecking Boulder.
the Padres game on Sunday, very unlikely that they'll be able to play that, right?
The Pods, very well that they will be able to play it. Is that
On
what you're
Sunday.
asking?
Will not
Sunday,
be able to play on Sunday.
Will not be.
Afternoon.
It will likely be a rain out.
Okay.
Correct.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's when the brunt of the storm will occur on Sunday.
And now what are the I know you talk about your different models, like they change sometimes.
Mhm.
Like what are still the chances it could turn and miss us, or is it almost certainly gonna kind of hit us right now?
So we have several models, right, that point the potential past, and it's what we like to call the cone of uncertainty. Right now, there are models that are aiming for the path to follow a little more westward, meaning that it would make a bullseye for areas like Long Beach, more towards, or even a little more westward, aiming towards Santa Barbara. So if that were to happen, then it decreases, right, the rainfall totals for San Diego County. Then we have models that are allowing it to veer more right, east, towards the desert areas, which will mean less rain for the coastal and inland areas. Again, as we inch closer to the weekend, we will have more of a precise path of Tropical Storm Hillary, but as of right now, it is aiming right a bullseye for San Diego County. But of course, that could change. If you recall, last year we were tracking Tropical Storm K that was also aimed to reach San Diego County, but by the time it entered those cooler waters, it actually kind of set parked over the coast and then it moved westward. But we still felt the remnants of it in terms of gusty winds and heavy rain. So yes, this could potentially change in 24 hours. As you know, weather systems can change anywhere from a minute up to 15 minutes. It could change dramatically. So we'll continue, of course, to keep our viewers, listeners updated with its path. But as of right now, it looks like it will pack a punch, even if it does veer more to the west or more to the east.
A fascinating weekend coming up here. I know it's all hands on deck at the TV station. Vanessa, I'll let you get back to it. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's ABC 10 News meteorologist Vanessa Paz, my coworker. Grew up here. She went to Hilltop High School and now, just like me, getting to broadcast on our local ABC affiliate. So, like common sense, like some things I've been reading. Don't park your car under a big old tree, this weekend. If you can, put it inside in a garage. I know not everyone has that option, but
build a garage quickly.
Build a garage
quickly.
but
24 hours.
But like if you have the option of parking
Noah built an entire ark,
under a tree
so-
or not under a tree, go with the not under a tree
If
option.
you're driving through Mission Valley and that river floods like it will,
don't drive through it.
Don't try to make it through it. It's not going to work out.
Turn around, go around. Don't drown.
Drowned.
Well, it rhymes with around. So
I like just cut her off mid-sentence.
well, like like your father-in-law, they get going. You wind them up. They can talk weather forever.
They know how Paul and I feel. You know what I mean? Seriously, that's how me and Paul feel sometimes.
Most mornings.
So good.
But the job is essentially, they get a 3-minute segment.
You gotta
and
go bang it out.
No one's like Q&A, and it's a monologue, and they're talking to the viewer, and they're pointing at their maps, and they're transitioning from one slide to the next and discussing.
fantastic.
She's terrific. Oh no, she was going. But I knew she had to get back to work as well, so I didn't want her to feel like you have to fill the next 30 minutes here on the show. So I wanted to give her an out.
So, how many precautions are you guys going to take?
I don't know. I mean, I was talking to my wife. I'm like, she's like, I don't even know what your Monday commute's going to look like. It's going to be just a torrential downpour. I know. Oh yeah. I know. Our engineers sent out an email yesterday, like, hey, we're putting plans in place for if the power goes out.
Monday off.
I am going to
How
try
you guys can do
to
your shows and all of that.
clean out my rain gutters a little bit later
are?
today. Yeah, just get some of the leaves that have fallen in over the last couple of months out.
My wife's listening. This is what I'm going to end up spending my Friday doing.
We're usually pretty fortunate that we don't have too many low-lying parts of our house, so most of the water flows away. We're more up on a hill, so that's good. But there are big trees around our house,
Yeah,
and
mine
that is
too.
definitely a concern if the winds are as intense as they say they could be.
I have the kids sleep with Hannah on Saturday while I'm gone. So hopefully everybody's okay. Take whatever precautions that you feel are necessary. Like I said, I'm going to clean up my yard, get everything that could potentially blow around, break windows, things like that. I doubt very much we'll be boarding up any windows or anything, but I would hate to be underprepared in a situation like this.
And again, I don't want anyone to just cancel their plans because, as Vanessa said, the storm could turn track toward more like Yuma and Arizona, and then we may not get a ton of rain on the coast. So if that's the case, might be able to play baseball on Sunday. But if the forecasts continue to progress as they're looking right now, seems very, very good chance that Sunday will be a washout of the last game of the series against the Diamondbacks.
I wonder if Monday night's even in jeopardy if it's just that wet.
I mean, yeah, how quickly can they get the field? They'll put the tarp on, obviously, and try to keep it as dry as possible underneath. But if you get 3 inches in, one storm, that's going to cause problems anywhere in San Diego. And how much water can they really get out of the ballpark if it does? I mean, if it rains all day Monday, and even if it's clearing up by Monday night, it might be tough to get that game going against the Marlins. But we'll see. AJ said they're already talking to Major League Baseball about potential contingency plans. Doesn't sound like they want to do the preemptory doubleheader tomorrow.
I can't decide what would be better for the San Diego Padres right now.
Doubleheader tomorrow might be tough because you'd have to do a bullpen day essentially because you don't have a day off, or a starter on 3 days rest, but
you would have Sunday off.
Well, yeah, but before the last 5 days, you've had 5 starters. So you wouldn't have a second starter ready that was supposed to start on Sunday. Monday's starter
Somebody would have to go on 4 days rest.
3 days rest if they were going to go, or you'd go with the bullpen day. However, I know at least going into yesterday, the Diamondbacks bullpen was really in tough shape. They were able to get through it without their Seawald, their closer being used, but I know they weren't in great shape either. So I don't know who has the advantage if you did a doubleheader tomorrow. But that's baseball. You never really do know that.
Yeah, and what would be better? The end of the season type scene. I mean,
you could wait until that last Thursday. Who knows if the game would mean anything at that point for either team?
I know.
Or it could be the most important game of the season all of a sudden. If both teams were still in it, and you had an extra one game against Arizona on that last Thursday before you go to Chicago to finish against the White Sox the last 3. Oh my God. I mean, there's a lot of options and contingencies that'll have to be discussed if they don't play that game on Sunday.
Yeah, somebody made a good point in the chat. People have a hard time even just driving in the rain here. So throw in
wind,
50-mile-an-hour winds, and
Yeah, I think it is recommended if you don't have to travel, don't plan on driving. I know you're supposed to go up to LA this week, and hopefully you'll be back before things get too bad, maybe, or whatever you can do. But yeah, it's definitely a concern, this weekend for sure. And just everyone be safe and make good choices and don't hang out under big, tall, rickety-looking trees.
Yeah,
especially in big winds. If you see hard winds coming, stay away from windows. I mean, we're not used to things like tornadoes and hurricanes here, so
definitely not.
We're not that common sense that you probably think. You got to just stop for a second and go, "Is this a good idea? What we're doing right now?" And we'll see how bad it gets. But I thought it would be interesting to talk to Vanessa this morning and just get her thoughts on what we're facing.
All right, we'll do a Rhino report. I still want to talk more about the AJ Preller interview, and I want to talk about his answer to the Jackson Merrill question. There's a lot more to unpack from that, so we can do that after you want to do that after the Rhino report?
Yeah,
All
that
right,
works.
we'll do the
Yeah,
round
that's
report.
perfect.
After
Yeah,
that.
we got some time in our last hour. Take some phone calls, maybe even as well. 833. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, you want to call in and win a Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead. We've got another one to give away. The giveaway night is on Tuesday. You can get tickets at Padres.com/tickets. Get in, get your Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead with removable helmet, or win now. 833-288-0973. Call fast. We'll make it the second caller. 833-288-0973. Back with the final hour of the week of Ben and Woods next on 97.3 The Fan. All right, final hour of Ben and Woods. If you didn't win the Ha-Sung Kim bobblehead, we do have a Padres ticket giveaway coming up here at the bottom of the hour as well. So you get another chance to call in and win in a final hour of the week here of Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. You got a Rhino report a couple of minutes away as well, but you mentioned that the Padres, in many ways, it was maybe the unluckiest game of the season in Major League Baseball. You say Zach Gallen was the luckiest pitcher based on the results he got versus the results he deserved on how the Padres hit the ball last night.
Yeah, they measure things like this, and that was the luckiest start of the year in front of Tony Gonsolin. When a Tony Gonsolin start, you give up hard contact sometimes. I mean, hell, I thought Rich Hill, not yesterday, his last start
was lucky.
I thought he was massively lucky. He should have left with an 8-0 deficit.
It was only 3-0.
Yeah.
Bob
So it
Melvin,
happens.
after the game, said specifically, I don't like to use the word unlucky. And I like that about him. I think for the most part, if you're just blaming luck all the time, you're not doing your job as a manager or a general manager or a player. Rich Hill was Rich Hill easily could have gone in and said, I gave up 3 base runners in 5 innings. Yeah, I made a bad pitch to Tommy Pham there, and I'll own that, but I pitched pretty well. He said, I didn't get the job done. I got to do better. I mean, he is in 3 starts, as accountable as any player I think I've seen in a Padres uniform recently. Unfortunately, he's just not getting the job done, but you can't blame luck all the time, even though in baseball it absolutely is a factor. What I want to know, though, is why is it the Padres seem to be consistently unlucky while other teams feel like they get consistently lucky? And
I don't even want to whine about this, but I know exactly
so
where you're
last
going.
night, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are hot right now, they were going for their 11th straight win.
They have a lot of momentum.
So they're playing the Brewers last night. First of all, they trade for Lance Lynn.
Yes.
It was an iffy trade.
Yes.
Lance Lynn
Dodger fans were livid.
Was having a horrible season. But of course, he arrives in LA, and as though he was dipped in magic waters, he has been one of the best pitchers in baseball over his 4 starts he's made with the Dodgers, including last night when he goes toe-to-toe with Corbin Burns and gets 7 shutout innings. But hey, the game is still 0-0. The Dodgers have been unable to push across a run. They've got good players. They got Mookie Betts. They got Freddie Freeman. They absolutely have all-stars. None of them could do a thing. Who wins it for them in the bottom of the 8th? Their 136 hitting catcher, arguably maybe the worst player in baseball this season, Austin Barnes, hits a clutch home run to give them their 11th win in a row.
When you're hot, you're hot.
What is going on, man?
When you're hot, you're hot.
I mean, do you think if the Padres had a 136
We
hitting
do.
catcher? Oh, wait, they did.
They did.
How many clutch winning home runs did he hit for them this season? When even your bad players come through, what are they doing? I don't get it. It's frustrating. That made me mad last night, actually. I'm okay. If Mookie Betts hits a home run and wins the game, it's like, okay, they deserve that. He's a good player. When Austin Barnes does it, it just irritates me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm irritated, but I'm also irritated at losing to the Royals and the Reds. And, that's really what's stuck in my craw. It's going to be hard to get through that unless they go on some sort of magical run, which is just... I'm excited. Look, I'm going to the game tonight. I'm excited to do so. Gonna root like hell for him. I like what you said earlier about what's his name? Fought. Like you touched him up for 3 runs.
A touch over Watt. He's not fat. He's just a touch over Watt.
I'm really ready for the show to be over. Paulie,
So got
56 minutes.
more.
Your weekend is coming up. Don't worry. Tacos are coming up too. I know you're excited about that.
I'm going to drink 40 beers tonight. Did
you bring margaritas?
Oh, dude. You made a good point. You better. You just saw this guy. He's got nothing. You better light.
The one excuse of maybe you haven't seen him yet, and he was doing something that
that's
you
gone.
don't have that anymore. You
It's
just
gone.
saw him. He still has an ERA over 6. You must punish him tonight. Punish him. Otherwise, what are we doing here? Now, we're talking about winning 7 out of 10 the rest of the way. This has got to be one of the 7 tonight.
Yeah.
Got to be.
That'll be.
All right, let's get to some headlines and the Rindle Report. And get things started here with our today's edition of the Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
All right.
All right.
All right. Gentlemen, we will start off in Major League Baseball. A little passing bomb from earlier this morning.
Missed this.
The Los Angeles Angels are calling up first baseman Nolan Shanuel, who was an 11th overall pick for them.
Shanuel.
Shanuel?
Shanuel. I don't know.
Shanuel.
I'm just guessing. It's fun to say like Jaguar.
He was the 11th pick for them. You know, you expect your 11th overall pick to make it into your
course.
major league system at some point, you know, after a
Absolutely.
couple of years in the minor
you gotta
leagues.
get down there. You got to learn the system. You got to
Right,
figure it out.
right.
You got to see how it works.
Get your legs under you.
Get your feet wet.
Couple years in the minor league system.
Yeah.
No.
No.
He was drafted this year.
6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago, he was drafted.
Wow,
he was
dude.
in Double-A, and he's 21 years old. He hit in 21 minor league games. His slash line was 370, 510, and 493. And they said,
Game 2
he's
easy.
ready.
He's ready.
He's ready.
Bring Homer Bush up now,
100%.
Padres.
All right. I had a question.
Pass and
Matt
followed it up.
Carpenter or Homer Bush Jr.? Give me Matt. Give me
He's-
Homer Bush Jr.
Homer Bush Jr. has been
Lighten
killing
it up,
it at Lake
dude.
Elsinore for sure.
Bring him up.
Paston followed it up by saying his promotion by the Angels is the fastest for a player in decades, according to ESPN stats and information.
Now, that doesn't reek at all of desperation from the Los Angeles Angels, who are desperately trying to make a playoff. Where are they? Where do they stand, by the way? They're not great, right?
They have a better record than the Padres.
I know the
but
record.
I
They play
think
in a
they're
different
further. They're further out from a playoff
They
spot.
are 60 and 62. Let's go to the wild card race. They are 7 games out
Yeah.
in the wild card
Padres are
race.
5.
Passon said that the last U.S. born player to debut within 40 days of being drafted was Jerry Don Gleaton
Oh, I love Jerry
in
Don Gleaton.
1979.
I remember it well. Ben and I were 4 years old.
It was a couple.
Jerry Don Gleaton.
Was it the year before that Dave Winfield
Dave
didn't go to the
Winfield.
minors at all?
Nope.
Padres took him out of Minnesota and he went right to the big leagues.
Amazing. And to the Hall of Fame.
The Cardinals also called up, I think, their top prospect as well, Mason Blaze Wim. Was activated to the big leagues by the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, they're in a different spot. They're not.
Yeah, no, they
playing
want
out
to see
the
what he's
string
got.
here. And They
Yep.
want to see what he's got. Young kid, 21-year-old from Texas.
We'll go to football here. This is just good audio, not a big story or anything like that. But local reporter in Miami posted this video 2 days ago. It's Tua Tagovailoa. And the post just says, football is hard. Listen to Tua test the media on reciting back a simple play.
Okay, I love
This
this.
is incredible.
I can give you guys a play, and then if you guys want to repeat it after me, as if you guys were in the huddle, you guys can. All right. Should I go once or twice saying it?
Once.
Once? All right. We got North Right Clamp, South Fox, H Top, Pass 38, Top Gumby, XP Sweat. Let's go. Anyone?
Oh my God.
Can you do it, Woods?
Means it one more time.
Can we? Let's try it one more time, and then we'll repeat it back afterwards. Ready?
If you guys are in the huddle, you guys can. All right. Should I go once or twice saying it?
Once.
Once? All right. We got North Right Clamp, South Fox, H Top, Pass 38, Top Gumby, XP Sweat. Let's go.
North right clamp, southwest Fox, HB 38 right, southwest clamp. I don't know.
I thought you were reading it off your
No,
computer.
no.
I can do it. Maki, Ricky, Danny, Terry, Timmy, Tommy, Davey, Johnny, Robbie, and Brian.
You can do lines, but plays, that is tough.
Yeah.
Should I go once or twice
Yeah.
saying it? Once? All right. We got
Okay.
North Right Clamp, South Fox.
North
Clamp,
right,
North right clamp,
I
south
thought he said
Fox.
clam.
North right, clamp, south Fox.
H Top, Pass 38, Top Gumby, XP.
H top pass 38,
Gumby
south
XP.
Gumby XP.
All right. We got North Right Clamp, South Fox, H Top, Pass 38, Top Gumby, XP Sweat. Let's go.
There's no way.
I just run.
No way.
I just
I'd be
run
done.
Omaha.
Now,
Omaha.
imagine
Omaha.
being on the field 80,000 people screaming
In the middle of a game with a play clock.
Yeah, play clock. Gotta go quick. You hear that? You're like, all right, cool, got it.
Yeah. Can you repeat the 11th thing you said before we snapped the
and
ball?
also, it's hard enough for him to say it, but then the other guys got. You ever see in the NFL too? They'll have like a couple of guys kind of lingering. There's a huddle, and there's like a couple of guys lingering outside, like half head in.
Yeah, just
And I'm like, bro, I would be like, I would be so locked to be like, I'd have the arm pad. I mean, he reads it off his thing, doesn't he?
Some guys like walking up next with you, like, you see that guy holding me? Shut up! I need to hear this.
It's way. That's a ton. That's a ton to
Isn't
learn.
that crazy?
Yeah, just hit the playbook, bro. Okay, I did for
that's
2 days.
They said that is one play, and that is one of their simple plays. I mean,
Good
what's the
Lord.
playbook got? 1,000 different plays?
The thought of it gives me such
they're
massive
So
anxiety.
it's usually designed, you'll have a certain set of formations. That'll be like the first thing, and
The
then
north, right,
and then
Gumby.
they train. They like a tree. The
Goes
branches
outdoor
go off
or
of each
out,
play
right.
into 40 different directions that you can go on every single play.
Like I think 45 could mean we're gonna run it between the fourth and fifth guy on the line.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
But you can't be obvious because then the defense will figure it out. So you got to be tricky about it too.
Mother of God.
I like Oregon where they just hold up like a picture of
a cupcake,
Rodney Dangerfield,
Yeah.
and somehow that's a play. I had no idea why, but
I definitely have always respected what they do, and now I have an even greater respect for what they do.
I mean,
is
especially
staggering.
a quarterback, dude. Imagine all the responsibilities that you
Well,
have.
and
to
all those
lead your
guys,
team.
though, but
Everybody's
he
gotta
just
have
has to recite it, but everybody else has to know their assignment on that. Oh, do I pull? Do I trap? Like it's just.
I think it
mad.
probably makes it easier, like Ben said, with like the tree system.
Yeah.
Like the linemen only need to listen to the first two parts.
Right, that's true.
'Cause that's the only
but
part.
the quarterback needs to know the whole dang thing.
Yeah.
And that's why they get paid a lot more than
maybe
everybody else.
The receivers, their role is in the last part of the play
That's
call.
so gnarly.
But-
man.
Dolphins fan.
God.
Why don't you just throw it to the open receiver
Yeah,
to
throw
him?
it
It's
to
just
Tyreek
easy.
Hill.
I mean, that was an easy play. How did you miss that?
Oh my God, that was great.
Finally,
that was really good.
I know we got breakfast tacos that were just brought to the studio, but
Yeah, we break early.
speaking of breakfast, how do you guys feel about Eggos?
Love them.
Love them?
Lego,
Fantastic.
my ego.
Eggo is coming up with a new liqueur.
Ooh,
Eggo teamed up
never
with
mind.
Sugarlands Distilling, and they've launched their new liqueur called Eggo Brunch in a Jar Sippin' Cream.
Hi. Yes. No. It's
Can you
great
do
to be
your
here.
endorsement right
Can
now?
I get? I'm gonna get you. How many you want? You want one, Bob? All right.
We got 3
We get
shots.
4 shots of the Eggo liqueur
Brunch
in a jar sipping cream, please. Sipping cream.
Hey, it's Ben and Woods here for Sippin' Cream. When I want to sit down,
When I want cream
and have
I want
rich
to sip it.
heavy
When I don't have time for breakfast.
of cream, but I kept thinking, boy, I wish there was alcohol in this heavy glass of cream. I go with the Eggo
Your wife,
Bunch in a Jar Sippin' Cream.
you come home from work after a hellishly long day. You're like, where the F is my Eggo sipping cream? I just pictured it being like batter, just liquor batter.
So it's a
Filthy.
Order that at the Goat after a round of golf. Want a beer? No, do you have that
Do you have a
Eggo
single,
waffle in a jar?
some
Brunch
sippin'
in a
cream on the
sippin'
rocks?
cream?
Bro, that is.
It's
And I-
20% alcohol,
I gotta
40
try-
proof.
I got to try it.
Seamlessly blends the flavors of toasted Eggo waffles,
Okay.
sweet maple syrup, and rich butter with a hint of smoky bacon.
Imagine
I mean-
that hangover.
I mean,
dude.
I could see maybe putting like a little bit in some coffee,
Yeah, sure.
but
absolutely.
like actually sipping the cream. Have you ever had like Bailey's on its own, like
Yeah,
not
it's
in
not
coffee?
good.
It's not good.
I sometimes just put bourbon right on my waffles, and just when I need a little pick me up at breakfast. That is just incredible.
Some of the logic behind this from Eggo's perspective was they know how difficult it is to be a parent dealing with
Okay.
constantly changing schedules, household errands, family outings, etc. They wanted to create something that can help those parents find moments they can savor for themselves.
Yeah, I was such a bad dad, but then I found sipping cream.
My wife and I have been really wanting to get diabetes together at the same time, so we bought a whole trough of Eggo sipping cream, and now We get our blood
Our
pressure
family has never
monitors.
been happier. Has anyone seen the kids? So stupid.
It is.
It sounds like something that like Bo would get drunk on for his first time at 14.
I just pulled up the website here. You can find where they're located. There's plenty of places to find it here in San Diego. It says 1 ounce of Eggo brunch in a jar, 2 ounces of rum. This is like a
cocktail.
The morning chaos cocktail is 1 ounce of Eggo brunch in a jar, sipping cream, 2 ounces of rum, 3/4 of an ounce spiced chai syrup, 2 ounces of pineapple juice, and an ounce of blood orange juice.
That sounds horrific.
Spencer says you guys are hating on this like you didn't just drink Sunny D booze a
That's
couple
good.
months
It
ago.
was
Yeah, it was fantastic. I'll drink one right now.
We're going to take time out. We'll come back. If you want to join us, talk about that AJ Preller interview from our last hour. We have some time for calls. 833-288-0973 while we munch on some homestay breakfast tacos this morning. We'll tell you about those as well. When we come back with Ben Woods, check traffic and return here on 97.3 The Fan. Fire up those phone lines because while you're talking, we can be eating tacos.
Nobody wants to hear us eat tacos.
I know. That's why we need callers. 833-288-0973.
I've never eaten 2 breakfast tacos faster than I just did.
You ate 2 tacos?
I did.
Wow.
I did.
I'm impressed.
Well, you had a spot. I didn't.
That's true.
So I got to work one in, and then we had one together. Dang, those are good. Home State brought us.
Eat tacos today for tomorrow. A hurricane may hit San Diego. You never know.
That's exactly right.
What could be in the future?
The breakfast taco scene has arrived, and it's Home State. No,
I'm here for it.
They're ungodly good there, and they take such good care of us. So thank you guys so much, Jose, for bringing those in.
They brought their taco
the
box.
catering
It's like
box.
their catering box. I mean, seems like a pretty good idea if you've got like a morning, whether it's at the
Hangover.
office. Well, no, I
You
mean,
drank too much
if you want to
Eggo,
bring it into
sipping
the
cream.
office, or
Yeah.
if
Oh,
you
it's
want
huge.
people over for brunch, either way, it seems like it would work really well. All right, enough on tacos. More on AJ Preller. I mean, we talked a little bit about the urgency, and he agrees, I think, with most fans and what you said, that he wants to see playoff type urgency in terms of both the players and the decision making the rest of the way. That you can't be thinking, hey, we need to keep these guys fresh for September and October. You got to win games now. So, he's 100% on board with that.
Correct. I did ask him about the Jackson Merrill rumor that came out this morning. Dennis Lynn posted a piece in The Athletic talking about what Dennis Lynn himself called essentially not a reckless move per se, but a surprising move. That would be a surprising thing to bring up Jackson Merrill. And it didn't sound like to me, look at what the Angels are doing. They're bringing up their guy they just drafted, who's just tearing it up, but only after a few weeks, 6 weeks, I think, Ben. And I don't know what that would do to a player or how detrimental it could be or how positive it could be. I just don't know. But we saw what happened with Ryan Weathers, and when they brought him up, probably a skosh too early.
Well, people have been wondering, why are you playing Jackson Merrill at shortstop, continuing to put him at shortstop when you've got multiple shortstops? Ha-Seong Kim, Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jake Cronenworth. The last thing you need is another shortstop. Why aren't you playing him somewhere else? So when they moved him into the outfield this week, it probably raised some, alarm bells like, oh, they're moving him to give him some experience so they can call him up. But AJ definitely tamped down the notion that Jackson Merrill would be up here this season. It does feel like they are transitioning him a bit, though, with the idea at some point, next year we may see Jackson Merrill in the big leagues, and it's maybe more likely that he gets to the big leagues as an outfielder than as a shortstop with the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Jackson Merrill to know if he is that elite type shortstop where you say, oh, Xander, yes, I know we just signed you to a massive contract for massive years, but you're now our first baseman or you're now our second baseman. Does that mean Ha-Seong Kim is expendable? Does the fact that they're showcasing Jackson Merrill in a bunch of different positions mean that they're going to trade him in the offseason, package him with somebody else and make a big trade for pitching maybe? I don't know. All of that could happen.
It makes sense.
Every bit
I mean, now that the Padres
you have to assume every acquisition or drafted player that's an infielder is either going to get shopped or move positions, right?
Right. I would imagine.
I would say that that's a good point. Now that the Padres farm system has risen so fast in the rankings, you can think about trading one of your big guys, and it doesn't have to be for a superstar deadline deal. But if you want to get off-season, like controllable pitching, guys who are ready for the big leagues, you're not going to get it with, minor league flotsam and jetsam. You're going to need a premier prospect.
Well, in that
and maybe
case, then,
Jackson Merrill is being showcased for an off-season trade.
But in that case,
to restock the starting rotation.
But if that were the case, though, I think you just keep him at shortstop because that's such an elite premier
That's
position.
the point.
Now, unless they look at him and say he's good, but he's not, so and so. I mean, you look at did anybody on this planet, anybody think Fernando Tatis Jr. was not going to be our shortstop till we were 60 years old, Ben? I sure as hell did. I mean, things happen, right? Things happen. I think if you're going to showcase Jackson Merrill to trade him, you leave him at the most elite position. I think.
Let's go out to the phones. 833-288-0973. We got Tim up in Oceanside joining us here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Tim. How have you been?
Morning, gentlemen.
Hey,
I'm
Tim.
doing well. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
So let me ask you this. So do you think the new era of these lifelong 30-year deals, subconsciously, I'm not saying the Padre players like Manny Machado and all those guys are not as focused, but you think subconsciously you get that money and there's that sense internally of, I've made it. I'll never have to work again for the rest of my life.
Sure.
And I think mentally, I think it takes the edge off of some of the players.
You know, it's an interesting point, and I can see it going both ways. Here's my.
I would say Manny was already in pretty good shape financially last year.
Yeah, he
before
was.
this
He absolutely was. So
extension.
he said, I'm just saying, like using him as an example. He's having a rough year, man. He's badly in a slump again, and you need more production from Manny. And I mean, that goes without saying. That being said, knowing him, the person, a little bit, I don't think he's not edgy. I think again, in baseball history, I can promise you there's been a guy that said, yes, finally I can go on cruise control. I think he played here for a while.
He played first base.
Yeah, he played first base here for a while. I don't see that necessarily from Manny. I do feel like for Manny to get the recognition that he really wants, craves, loves, he needs to post, and he needs to post his numbers.
Or you could be talking about Xander or Jake or a number of different people. And I see where Tim is coming from, but I think it's
you can't. It's not going to change.
It's a very complex conversation.
It's very complex
because even if it is true that a guy signs and subconsciously feels a little more comfortable in their situation, even though maybe they're still putting in all the work that they used to, something will mentally change. Now,
absolutely.
For some guys, that may make them play better.
Correct.
You know, a little more comfort, a little more confidence going, I don't have to worry about every single day. If I go 0 for 4, that I may be going to the minors. I may not be getting that deal that's going to change my family's life. Some people might react well to that. Everyone's going to respond according to their own personalities and own situation. So absolutely, Tim, there's guys who can sign contracts and it may mess with them maybe for a year, and maybe then they settle in and get better. Or there's a guy who still plays well for a couple of years and then loses some of that motivation and starts not playing as well. It's not a non-factor, but it's a much more complex conversation than simply, oh, he's fat and happy because he just got his contract and he's not working and he's not going to the cage anymore. It's rarely as black and white and as simple as that.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it is complex, and obviously every player is different. Every player has different things that are important to them. So yeah, I mean it's a fair point. If you don't do it, if you don't bring those players along and give them those big deals, somebody's going to. Right.
So the alternative is never keeping any of your star players,
you're the Oakland A's,
or acquiring them.
Yeah.
I mean, no one wants that.
Yeah.
But and I do think that when the Padres have made their evaluations, every time when they sign Manny, when they sign Xander, when they sign Jake to the long-term deal, they factored in a big time what they thought would be guys who it's not going to change them that much.
Correct.
Guys who are self-motivated, who care about winning, who care about their legacy and wanting to win World Series.
Well, and also they wanted. I have always understood that perspective based on the first conversation we had with Peter Seidler, who said one of the things that's most important to him in life is continuity. Right now, people will argue and they'll say, "Well, but if you're continuously doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, that's actually insanity." But the first time we talked to Peter, he said continuity is important to me, which is why I wasn't surprised when they went out and handed out big deals, because they evaluated who they think is going to be their core for years to come in this World Series championship window that we all thought was here. Hasn't worked yet, but it's not over. It just has not worked yet.
All right, let's take one more time out. We've got some more phone calls if you want to join us in our last segment, 833-288.
Love it up.
0973. Actually, though, let's clear the lines for a second because we do have a pair of Padres tickets to give away to tomorrow's game. Hopefully get that one in before the Hurricane arrives against the Diamondbacks, Game 3 of the weekend series. Tickets are available at Padres.com, but if you'd like to win a pair, be the third caller right now at 833-288-0973. Back with Flubs and the rest of our week here on 97.3 The Fan. Ben Woods eating tacos and sipping cream this morning. 97.3 the
Eggo.
Fan.
Just be clear. Eggo cream.
Eggo brunch in a jar. Sipping cream.
Sipping cream. So this guy in the chat was like, well, he said, you drank the Sunny D. So what are you guys bitching about? Why don't you try this first? I'm like, that's totally different. That was light and refreshing and delicious. This is thick Eggo batter with liquor in it and pieces of bacon. Like, this doesn't sound appealing to me at all in the slightest. I don't.
On a hot summer day.
I don't really have a drink anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and it's certainly not going to be that one. What's your go-to drink? You're a Manhattan guy.
Correct.
Because you're 150 years old.
It's delicious. It's also because I like cherries, especially those Luxardo cherries that they put
bro, I will eat
a Manhattan.
I will eat a whole. If I had
they're
those,
so good.
They put those in.
I always want
old fashioned.
I always want to I'm going to get a jar and eat it at home, and then you go to the store. It's like $28 for one little tiny jar of cherries.
That's why they only give you one in those drinks, buddy. Oh, those things are so good. I don't really have my.
Why does this cocktail cost $15? So see that little cherry in it? That's like $5 on its own right there.
I don't really have a drink anymore.
We had post game brewskis after my men's league game last night.
Nice.
And my boy Todd brought just a variety of different beers. I tried a Belching Beaver. It was orange vanilla milkshake double IPA. It tasted like liquid candy. It did not taste like beer at all. It was unbelievable.
All right, now I can be swayed on that.
Yeah.
I think I really like orange stuff in my drinks.
You
I
just love
really like
orange.
that Sunny D. I liked it a lot.
There's a lot of beers with orange flavors in them. You got the Belgians. Hazies usually have a bit of an orange, kind of an orange peel, maybe kind of scent to them.
I had that pineapple sculpin a couple of years ago. Fantastic. Maybe I just like fruit stuff in my beers. I think I'm down with that, but don't know. I need to get my new signature cocktail, and I just don't know what to drink anymore, even in the rare occasion that I do go out and have one.
All right, we got one more check of traffic to get to. A few more minutes, get some flubs in, and wrap up our week here on 97.3 The Fan.
Premier Kia of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family. Here's Kelly Tannick.
Winding down on a pretty good note here, guys. There is a collision on the coastline, though. This is South 5 before the Aliso Creek rest area. Looks like a car and big rig involved there over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And this hour on The Fan is brought to you by the Farmer's Dog. Fresh, human-grade dog food delivered right to your door. It's time to quit the kibble. Kick the cans. The Farmer's Dog makes dog food that's actually food. It's made from real meat and veggies and delivered right to your door. Get 50% off your first box of smarter, healthier pet food at thefarmersdog.com/dogdays. Well, we haven't had this discussion in a while, but it finally happened. Paulie texted us this week and said, out of the blue,
It's something that we worked on, I don't know, 5 years ago.
Yeah, we're doing this.
Said, hey guys,
it's very us.
We
Woodsy,
just
to hash this out on the air.
We just got approved to do cameos.
We got invited.
Now we used to have fun with those a few years ago,
and not so fun.
I feel like they're not quite as in the consciousness as they were, but there are still celebrities that will do.
We're not celebrities though,
but there are celebrities who will charge, maybe hundreds of dollars, and you can pay them, and they will read like a custom message, like a birthday
Ben and
greeting.
Woods, of course, the #1 sports radio show in San Diego. Keep dominating the competition, and the NFL needs to bring football back to San Diego. What the kind of bullshit is that? The Los Angeles Chargers? Get the out of here. The Chargers belong in San Diego. Listen to Ben and Woods' #1 sports radio morning show in all of San Diego.
No, you're not wrong. Now I'm looking at the thing. I haven't checked Cameo in literally years. Now you can get Johnny Sack from The Sopranos. I'm all right. I'm back in. All right. If he's gonna do it, I'll do it. You can get Newman from Seinfeld. Here's Dean Norris from Breaking Bad. Shooter McGavin.
We've interviewed both of them.
We've interviewed both of those guys. Oh, Brian Cox from Succession. $689 to get. Wow. I mean, if I had an extra,
Ben and Woods, you are not a serious
Morning
radio
show.
program.
But we got really into Cameo.
I love
like in
it.
our first year together
For
as a
about
show.
3 weeks, we did.
We were ordering different cameos like that Michael Rappaport one. We were having fun, and we're like, let's apply and see what happens. And we were almost immediately rejected.
Correct.
So who the hell are you idiots? What do you think? No. And then never addressed it again.
Never.
I never reapplied.
Nope.
I swear to God, this was over 4 years ago. And just the other day, I got an email. Hey, you've been invited. Ben and Woods show has been invited to Cameo. Like, here's the application. Here's your VIP code.
Oh, no.
And I asked you guys, do you want to do this?
I'm so on the fence. I'm looking under the categories on Cameo as we speak. Okay, so they have different categories: actors, athletes, comedians, musicians, reality TV. And then there's one that says creators. And I figure that that's where they'll put us, creators. I'm looking at these people going, this guy charges $1. His name's Jeff the Epic. He's a YouTuber. Then there's Jesus Christ, a YouTube entertainer. He charges $39. There's Squeezy Jibs. Charges $44.
Wow.
You got one of the Island Boys.
I was just going to ask you, how much does an Island Boy charge?
$40.
I mean,
Saint
do you
for
think
$9.
is our audience interested in this?
I don't, my friend. This is Big Sills. See this? It's Steven, aka Bob's birthday. Don't forget to miss it.
Oh my God.
Are we opening ourselves up to potential ridicule?
Well, you can't
if we do this.
Obviously, the Dodger fans would sign up, paid $10 or whatever to be like, yeah, I'm not even gonna say it on the air because Paulie could save it, but you know what I mean? Like Pete Alonso, like Pete Alonso doing the hey, if you're listening to this, you just got beat by the San Diego. I'm like,
hey, how's it going? I'm Pete Alonso with the New York Mets, and if you're watching this, you just lost to the San Diego Padres.
You didn't think that was going to come back
I mean,
and
you
bite
knew
you?
that was going to come back and get you. You have to scroll through it to be careful that people aren't trying to prank you. It's a lot. Here's the other thing
Like
I thought
Dixie Normus.
Dixie Normus. I just pictured Paul going, all right, you guys have 9 cameos to do after the show and being like, oh my God. Cool.
So in that sense, you want to charge a ton. Like you
I don't.
want people who
I don't
are
want
really
to charge
serious.
anything.
Only the people who are the most committed get a cameo.
I just feel like if I'm doing cameos for like $7, then I don't know. It makes me feel bad, kind of like if you want me to do a cameo for your birthday, I'll do it for you.
You'll do a cameo for someone's birthday.
Yeah, I would do that.
Like not even charge them.
Somebody says you can't. Oh yeah, you can deny the cameo request. Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing is like people trying to prank us. Mud's in there. I know Mud's in there.
And Jeff Blum.
Jeff Blum was great.
We used Jeff Blum for a show apology.
Yeah, we did. That was another one.
Cameo that
we can charge $9.73. We could also charge $69, which would be
That's probably where I'm at.
69.
Yeah,
that's a lot. I don't want to charge our listeners that much.
Yeah, but then we won't have to do that many.
There is the option of they don't have to get a cameo from us. It's not required to listen to the show or participate. You don't have to buy any cameos at all. But how many post-game threads would we end up in if we were doing cameos?
Well, we're already in them anyway.
Right, that's true. Good point. I'm dancing all the time.
Jake says he'd pay $1 for a cameo of Wood saying, thanks, Jake, for listening and being a Ben fan. I would do that for you, Jake, for free. Literally, you wouldn't have to pay me 1 cent. I wanted to
do
do
that
that
very good right now and say it.
I know I'm not. I'm not a great entrepreneur. I will fully admit it. I like the work of doing radio. Some of the ancillary stuff makes me a little uncomfortable. And I'm just,
Adam's hearing this conversation and going, well, maybe Woods will just do radio for free.
Yeah, maybe.
He likes it so much.
Yeah, maybe someday. Maybe someday. You never know how things turn out with all my investments in the market. Never know what the market will bear, Ben. But yeah, I would do that.
I can picture you after the show when Paul says, "Yeah, we got 5 cameos to do," and he goes, "Ben, can you just do those today? I gotta go. I gotta leave. I don't want to do those cameos."
I give so much these 4 hours. It's just like after. Hey, what's up, Fred? It's Ben and Woods here. Happy birthday, pal. Thanks for listening. You don't have to pay me for that. I would do that for you for free. I really would. But if you guys want to do it, I'll do it. Maybe we could have some fun with it, get some material out of it. Did you say yes?
I have been waiting for you guys.
All right.
You want to do it? After the show, we have to record the
Today? Oh, I can't do it today.
We don't have cameos waiting. You have to record when they go to your page. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Michael Rappaport.
Can you just do it?
I'm on Cameo now.
See?
Will you just
We've
do it?
already started.
I can do it.
All right, Ben will do it.
Hey guys, Michael Rappaport here, and
Make Ben do it. I don't want to do it. All right, can we play some flubs?
We can play some.
We got some.
all
flub.
right, yeah, we got a couple
I
minutes
missed the
left.
flub.
I always miss the
So
flubs.
I was telling Paulie this.
Did we add the new one from this week?
I think so. We watched. I was watching Mud and Don, and Don flubbed.
He did.
He
I
flubbed.
saw that
yes.
too.
And Mud started dying. Don's trying to keep his way through it. I'm like, this is fantastic. We do this all the time. It made me miss the
If
flubs.
we ever had our own bobbleheads like they've had yesterday and today, and they made sounds,
They would have
it would
to
be
flub.
flubs. It would be flub, flub, flub.
God, that's so good.
In our Ben and Woods bobblehead someday.
I mean, anytime you get the chance to be on the same platform as Squeezy Jibs, I think you have to
can't turn
say
that down.
yes. And Hard Rock Nick.
I don't know that you can say squeezy jibs.
I just
on
did
the radio
twice.
So Adam's probably going to give you a text like, I don't want to hear you say squeezy jibs anymore.
Squeezy Jibs.
All right, let's get to it. It's time for the flubs.
And of course, San Diego State taking on number 14 Utah on Utah. Bring it.
All right, we'll play this audio for
Oh,
you.
guys.
Gnarly.
It's gnarly.
Out of St. Louis, California. First hour of Ben and Woods. Glad to have you with us on Wednesday morning.
Glad to have you with
there
you.
wherever we are. And both times, Austin Nolan drove in the one run.
Who is Austin Nolan?
Browns, Bengals, Ravens, 3, 2 teams in
Who are
that
the
division. Ballast Point Beer, the official craft beer of the San Diego Padres, at Ballast Point in Little India.
He's not 35.
But he will
but
be before the contract is done.
What is a contract?
Holiday season is almost here.
30 days, half September.
And that is do this
Whoa.
for a Wednesday.
Don't.
Ben and Woods back after checking traffic on 97.3 Fan. He's got the fifth most wins coaching time, all-time coaching. Fifth most, yes. February 12th, State Park Stadium in
Whoa,
Glendale,
State what?
Arizona. State Farm Stadium.
That's not what I heard.
It's not what I heard either.
Our first sound from Padres spring training
Here we
2013.
go.
I think when a veteran pitcher is having success
Oh,
with
wow.
those numbers,
Whoa,
6-year
whoa.
history of
What's
Major
Mitchell
League
doing?
Rugby. I'll give
What
you a
is rugby?
Sam San Diego's number one sports station, 93 The Fan.
We're just talking about Landon Jonovan.
Who is Landon
God.
Jonovan?
All right.
Back after a check of traffic here on 91.37 The Fan. Almost the entire 97.3 The Crew is coming out.
And then, of course, Joe Darvish and the kettlebell on the toe. Paul Reindl, our executive producer, YouTube director.
What's the director?
He's the director.
The soccer, they haven't lost a season all home. So we need you out there.
Greg Elston will join us with some streaming television. In which Grammy-winning Beatles song does Paul McCartney sing about the words that go together well? He was our man on the scene in the Beast of the Belly, Dodger Stadium, on the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan
What is
hotline.
Carlsbad?
Are you
What is happening right now?
If you like brisket and you're not going to Grand Ole Barbecue, you're doing it wrong in North Park, at Flynn Springs, and out
North
at the ballpark. North Park. 97.3 The Fan.
Paul's got some really good audio coming up in the Roundel Report as well from Gabe Kapler, manager of the Giants, that you won't want to stay tuned for. That's a flub.
You
Paul.
won't want to stay tuned.
Then I would say you won't want to stay tuned for the Roundel Report. Whatever would make you think that that's not exactly what I meant to say.
Carlsbad.
Carlsbad murders me. Carlsbad. What? He flubbed like twice in 10
But
seconds.
you were a native.
Yeah, Carlsbad.
What always gets me is how many times I can't say 97.3 The Fan. 91, 357, 97 The Crew, 93 The Fan,
His
97.3 Fan.
sneaky great one is our man on the scene in the Beast of the Belly. Like trying to be all like sportscaster. The Beast of the Belly. Oh, it's fantastic. I really, really missed the flubs, and it's just such a part of who we are. So Mud was sniggling so bad when Don, I can't remember what he said, but he flubbed a word in the middle of the read and then just tried to plow through it. Mud, you can tell Mud gave him the little look like, oh, really? So good.
I'm very much the Don, and
Very
you're
much.
very much the Mud
Very
of our
much.
twosome as well.
That's
we have
right.
a similar dynamic to those
On
guys.
On the
for
premier
sure.
Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline.
Carlsbad. Kills me.
You pass through Carlsbad on your way up to Homestay Tacos in Oceanside.
97.3 The Fan.
The Fan. Oh, my Lord, man. What a week. What a week.
So good.
All right. So, tonight.
Win. Tomorrow. Win. Sunday.
You're off.
Rain out.
Yeah.
I guess that's
Real quick, do we have a $10 bet for the weekend?
No, we've stopped doing $10 bets. I don't
we
know
haven't
why.
done any in a while.
You're up 10.
1.5 wins for the Padres this weekend.
This weekend?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, knowing maybe no Sunday game.
They got to win 2.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take it. I'll
Over?
take the over. Yeah.
Okay, you
All
got
right.
the over for $10. We'll put it on the board, and we will be back on Monday morning at 6 a.m.
I hope. Everybody
Well,
be
yeah.
safe this weekend. You'll hear. We'll let
Figure
you
it
know somehow.
We'll find a way to get on the air.
Yeah.
At the very worst.
Ben will take the equipment and then
Yes.
not come on the air
Yes.
like his vacation to Catalina.
But maybe we'll have a captive audience. Everyone will just be
At
stuck
home.
listening to us all Monday morning.
Could we do a YouTube show? We could if we had to.
Maybe we can connect that to get over the air through
Somehow,
YouTube.
yeah.
I don't know.
yeah.
We'll
I
figure
like our
something out.
emergency preparation.
I like that we act like it's going to be in tatters. We have no idea. It could look like this on Sunday.
The
for all we know.
sixth floor. I mean, this building may not even be here on Monday morning.
It's so true.
All right, that's it for
Love
today.
you guys.
Coach Braden coming up next. Have a great weekend. For executive producer and director Paul Reindl, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great weekend on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.